The world of Ark is inhabited by many creatures, from dinosaurs, pterosaurs, creatures from fantasy and more, but in this adventure, I will only obtain the help of one kind, the warm-blooded mammals, and in my goal of beating Ragnarok's god, Nunatak, I also have to tame every single mammal found on this gorgeous map before I even enter that arena on day 100. And like all adventures, we start on day 1, waking up on the beaches of the map. Oh well, the Highlands of Ragnarok, as I had a plan. And that goal is to get to level 10 as quickly as I can, as well. The first mammal on my list was an Equus. And this is the reason we spawned in the Highlands, as if you know, there are free carrots there, and I can easily get an Equus. So, as we picked up bushes, punched trees, and finally made myself a pickaxe and some cloth gear, we were leveling up pretty quickly. I look at this PT and I'm like, I can't even tame that. I can't even tame it. I also got myself a stone hatchet as well, as we're gonna need the tools. Got myself a spear, and with that spear, I tried to go find something to kill and couldn't find nothing. I don't see anything. Where's all the creatures at, fam? And yes, at the start of this playthrough, I did have the party dodos on. It was around that time. Yes, this has taken me far too long to get out, but at least killing a couple of dodos was getting me some XP needed and getting me closer to level 10. I then got down a campfire and started cooking up some sweet dodo steaks. Finally made myself some cloth boots and gloves with the hide we got from the dodos, and then started making some thatch foundations to hopefully push me to that level 10 mark, which, with the 4 that I just crafted, got me there. So now, we are level 10. So now it's time to head up to find myself some rock carrots, but I was pleasantly surprised to accidentally pick up some on my way to the spot that I know of. Or just being able to... Oh, wait, I got rock carrot there. There's rock carrot. I got rock carrot. Wait, what? Yo, we're not going further up. I don't know if you just saw that, but that is a Giga. There is a Giga between me and getting my carrots. Yep, get stuffed. Get stuffed, Mr. Giga. I ain't even going up there. If I remember correctly, there's another spawn up this way, actually. Isn't there? But luckily, my memory is correct, and there is another spot that's away from the Giga that I can get rock carrots from, and I collected as much as I could in the area. Also collected some rare flowers, which was kind of nice to see. I do like the new little mesh here. With them rock carrots now, on day 2 we made the plan to head over to the new Highland section, but first I made myself a couple of bowlers, as we're gonna need it to kill any low levels, and could help with raptors and a nuisance stuff. We then crossed the bridge over to the new Highlands expanse to look for that Equus. Oh, Equus, where shall you be? That sheep. Huh. Found sheep before I found the horse. Lovely. And, well, we weren't finding any Equises. As you could see, I could find another mammal that we do have to tame, the Ovis, but I don't have Sweet Veggie Cake, and taming a baby doesn't count as checking it off the list, so we kept looking. But since I had no luck, I did spot some dodos, and we started hitting them, working towards the brand new skill tree milestones, which required me to do some damage with spears, and then eventually use damage with the slingshot. But the third thing, I didn't be able to make it, as it is a boomerang, and we don't have sand. And I don't actually know exactly where to get sand other than the desert area. So, I don't feel like going over there just yet. But then we kept on hunting, looking around with no luck. I did spot a bison in the distance, which is yet another mammal. And the main reason I'm doing this challenge is because the bison got added. And I was like, yo, mammals only sounds like a fun way of beating the new boss on Ragnarok. And doing 100 days with it seemed like the go-to. But then it started to get cold, so I put down a campfire and started cooking some meat, as I'm gonna need food, as I scoured the area, hopefully seeing if I could spot myself an Equus.
And well, after slingshotting this parasaur to death and finishing off the slingshot damage, I was finally able to make myself a full set of hide, upgrading from that dirty cloth and feeling a bit more of a better survivor. But we had no luck finding an Equus here on the new expanse, so we headed back to the mainland of Ragnarok in the hopes to finally spot something.
Bro, I found another lot of sheep. You guys are annoying me. There's 6 of you. No. There's 6 sheep. What are you guys doing here?
But then, when looking down towards the Wyvern Trench, I spotted...
Equus has been spotted. All the way down there in the plains. I see you, little horse.
But as we got closer and down into the plains, I spotted that it wasn't an Equus, but something more fantastical. Mythical, you must say.
Are you kidding? That's the unicorn. That's the unicorn. We found the freaking unicorn. What? Why? Why? No way. No way. Only problem is now it's behind a mate pair of bisons, which literally will eradicate me from existence. I've got to tame this now.
But after waiting for it to get away from those bisons, we made our run to hopefully feed it.
Level 90. Oh, I scuffed it! No! Oh. Alright, alright. Over that way though. Level 90 unicorn. We're taming it. Okay, no, don't run towards me! Dingbat! I don't need you. Calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down. I scuffed it because I'm stressing. Stupid bisons are nearby. Oh, there's a dirty Pyromane over there. Ooh!
And yes, I do have to tame a Pyromane at some point, but at least try and not fail this again.
So, no! For God's sake! Oh, I'm gonna lose this. I'm gonna lose this because it's just lightning flash scared the shit out of me. Oh, now it's next to the frickin' scorpion. Oh, where is this thing go? Oh, I find that unicorn. Come this way, come this way, come this way, come this way. Just run past me, 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 run past me. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't turn around, you moron. Keep going, keep going, keep it going. Keep running.
But as they like to say, third time's the charm, baby.
We have got the majestic unicorn. I'm going to name you later. Let me get the hell out of this area. Okay. Out of every creature we tamed a unicorn. I don't get it.
And once I was safe on day 3, I gave the unicorn a name, Abby, after a magical super chatter here on the channel. Thank you for that. But then I was still on the hunt for a normal Equus, as I still gotta tame them to check them off the list. Getting the unicorn was a bonus. But I then wanted to check out this cave that I use a lot back on ASE as a starting point here in the Highlands. But to my surprise, the entrance all the way to get to this one has been changed a lot, and it's got a big old bit of water in front of it that you gotta jump down into. But once we're in, it is still that really great starter cave with the good old water section, some metal, some to harvest, a lot of stone. So this was going to be camp for now. I headed further up to find the little crystal cave, which is kind of nice to find. Then I spotted that dirty Giga had moved further up near where I actually collected rock carrots to tame this unicorn, so that was a bit scary, but we'll just avoid him for now, not get myself into any danger. I then completed a section of one of my other milestones, which was just collecting common resources, and then built a little ramp to get up and down from the water section towards this cave. But I accidentally hit a Gallimimus baby and had to fight this max level Galley.
No! Eat this! Bugger off! You silly Galley! Bloody hell, mate.
Before I finished off the ramp to get down into the water and up onto the main highland plains, which was nice to have. Like, I wasn't gonna try and jump off the waterfall or anything like some cynical psychopath. And then I placed down the typical 6 triangle foundations in Veno Bomb Shack fashion and got down a refining forge so I could start cooking up some metal. Also got a campfire to cook more food and a bed setting up camp for now. Then made myself a mortar and pestle so I could start working on narcotics. Then finally crafted myself a smithy and quickly made a metal pickaxe so I could increase the amount of metal I could farm from within this cave, which was quite a lot, honestly. Absurd amount. And at this point I spotted I had harvested some sand, and I just was shy of making a boomerang. But I had no clue where I made the sand, or where I got the sand, sorry. And, well, the hunt to find which rock gave me sand was on. Do you think I found it? No, absolutely not. But I did find a dead whale, which we absolutely hacked to death for an absurd amount of spoiled meat, some oil and some hide and keratin, and then headed on our way back to our campsite so I could use that for some narcotics. And on day 4 I was back at camp, finally got that spoiled meat into the mortar and pestle and made myself a bucket load of narcotics, as we're gonna need it to tame every mammal. I finally upgraded myself to a metal hatchet and a brand spanking new crossbow. Now I had my eyes on making myself an Equus saddle, which did require a bit more hide and wood. Wood, easy. The hide required some killing. I then left out on an adventure from camp, but forgot the brand new metal hatchet I made, so I had to return back and pick it back up. Then we headed over to the crystal cave and harvested a bunch of crystal. And with that crystal, I made myself some dino balls, which is from the Dino Depot mod. Great storage mod there. I then headed back to the new Highlands extension, killed a moss chop for its hide, and turned it into a spyglass. I did have a peek to see if I could spot an equus from up at a high point, but no luck here, so I killed a sheep as a good forgiving hide, and for their mutton, which will come in handy for taming carnivorous mammals. I then spot another dead whale, which I of course harvested for all that spoiled meat, and then we explored the Highlands a bit more, spotting that cave under the lighthouse, which honestly, beautiful place. I then spotted a bunch of boxes washed up on the beach and found out that they have like spears, arrows, metal tools, and I could have had these like day 1. I didn't know they were here. Honestly, I had no clue that they put them here. So that was a nice surprise, but also made me feel stupid that I could have actually skipped the whole crafting section of stuff. So yeah, I felt like a bit of an egghead. I continued my exploration by making myself up to the top of the lighthouse, and the view from here is exquisite. Exquisite? Exquisite. I cannot say that word. My nose is blocked. I'm sick. Screw it. It's beautiful. I then was able to make it to the rock carrot patch that I originally wanted to go for before I spotted that Giga.
The crappies or... Oh, you can't harvest them. I have to harvest them. That's Saber-tooth. I want the rock carrot.
And just so I don't run out of carrots, I collected a bunch more.
There's far too many sheep. What the hell is these sheep spawn? The fact that I found a unicorn and still have not found another equus in this area is beyond bonkers. But I have seen at least frickin' 30 sheep plus. Like it's my own backyard at this point with how many sheep I've seen. It's stupid.
The hunt for an old equus continued on to day 5 with me scouring more and more of the Highlands with just absolutely no luck. But I did spot myself my first blue drop, which I can obtain at this point, so let's see what we get.
Thingy. Hot damn! And we can use that. Megatherium's a mammal. Oh, dirt. I'll take that.
And then my hunt for an equus finally ended.
Equus! Yo, we finally found another equus. Let's go. Ah, you suck. Oh, there's another one at the top. There's a 25. Okay. All right, there's another horse. Yo, yes. What level are you? Level. Mate!
Yeah, I'm not taming either one of those low-level scums. Not worth my time. But I returned back to base and finally made myself an Equus saddle, which is gonna give us some extra defense to our unicorn Abby. I then placed down a water intake and then started crafting myself some trank arrows, which I realized was for a milestone within the skill tree, which then led me to needing to get prime meat. And then on my way to the Highlands extension, mid-jump, I spotted an Equus that I hadn't seen before, and well, this one was a good one.
Hot damn! Hot damn. Oh, change of plans. We're taming that. We're taming that. We're taming that. I'm gonna get the Saber-tooth, but we're taming that. Okay, boom! Ah. Let's look at these stat points. The health is abysmal, mate. Oh, the health is abysmal. Not much of a stallion there.
And since that was a male, I thought maybe I could try and tame a female, which I failed the first attempt on it, as always. Second attempt, though, we failed again. So, that was phenomenal. But then I spotted that baby Equus and reminded myself, I do need that prime meat to finish the milestone. So I killed it, halves it for its prime meat. But I only got 24 when I needed 25, which, that sucks. Big time. And then I went looking for that female again, but she had disappeared. So that was a bit of a bummer. But on day 6 I found the baby sheep and, well, murked it to finally get that prime meat piece I needed to finish off the milestone, and then we headed off back to camp, where I switched the saddle off Abby the unicorn and put it on our brand spanking male Equus Eric, as we headed off to the Highlands extension and hunt for a saber to tame. And that's where we spotted the magical, mythical, max level 1.
Hot damn. Alright, we know what we want.
But as I prepped my bowler to snare its tiny feet, it ran into the air like, hello? Blasphemy! Witch! I tell you! But then it magically popped on the ground, so I pelted it with a bunch of trank arrows and knocked it out.
Thank you. Oh. 150 saber male.
It had alright stats, and so I gave it some mutton to hopefully tame it up quickly. But then I noticed it had a baby, and the color of this baby is just perfect. Look at it! It's blue! Oh, why couldn't the male have that color? It is so cool! Yo, I want a blue Saber-tooth. That's sick! Insane! And when it tamed, we finished off the milestone, giving us 3 skill points as well, but giving us our third mammal tame of the playthrough after our unicorn and Equus. And those 3 skill points went straight into experience killer, as getting more XP on my tames is going to help me out a heck of a lot. I then went out, kept hunting for another Saber-tooth, a female that I hopefully can mate with the male, but then I spotted a 145 male Equus. I still need a female, and not too far behind him was a level 100, which normally I don't tame that low, but I thought, well, let's go for it anyway. I first tamed up the female, and then went ahead and tamed up the male.
There we go, 145, baby!
Which the male had a decent amount of HP. So I kind of delegated between the stats to see which one's going to give me the best one, and then pulled them all up as I'll go make them later, because I still needed a female saber, which we then spotted a 140 male who had beautiful red and blue, sticky bumhole. But then eventually, after hunting, we spotted a 145 female.
Aha! That's what we're looking for. 145 female one. Let's go.
Who got absolutely destroyed by a couple of stegos, so I didn't get to tame her at all. I then killed a low-level saber, giving myself a apprentice treasure map, which happened to be all the way in Murder Snow, so I ain't getting that just yet. I then ended off day 6 by robbing some beavers. They don't need this stuff, man. They produce it in the bucket loads. I'm gonna need that in the future, more than they do. I returned back to camp on day 7 and got myself down a bear barrel, as we're gonna need bear for 2 mammals, the Calicotherium and the Dinotherium. I then set up a Dino Depot terminal and put some dino balls in it so they could pick up my babies that I get mating from my 2 equises here. I then went on a bit of a wood harvesting run to work towards finishing off a step on these milestones for some skill points, which then led into me going on a massive thatch run.
There we go.
And to finish it off, I needed to make 10 wooden structures, and to make it easy, I just made some fence foundations, because they're cheap. And there we go, 3 more skill points, which I put into bonded taming, so now once I tame a creature, they get a 10% bit of increase of imprinting, which means a little buff into stats on wild creatures, which is nice, honestly. Probably one of the best skills on the tree. I then headed back over to the Highlands extension in the hunt for that female saber, but instead watched a Ovus have a fight with a saber. That was kind of funny. But then eventually I spotted another 145 female saber, yet again fighting things above her pay grade. But this time, I decided to help out by killing off everything fighting it, like the Ankies and the Argy that just jumped in here.
Oh my god, I saved it.
But then I eventually got the bowler her and put a bunch of tranks into her, and one last boot, chucked her out after all their shenanigans. And while she was taming, I was working towards another milestone which required me to travel 500 meters on foot. She tamed. I did grab the baby to check its trait. It wasn't a good trait, so meh. It was another female, so I could potentially use it for some breeding and mating, just to kind of progress longer to get better stats from the male. The female stats weren't that great. Let's be honest, they're not that great to work with. Same health stat as the male, weaker melee, but it's gonna do. Sabers are gonna be kind of niche in this playthrough. They're gonna help out, killing a few things, but nothing much. And I returned back to base at the end of the day to spot a Diplodocus trying to peek its way in. Dirty fool. Once back at base on day 8, I got the sabers mating, and then the Diplo came even further in.
What the hell are you doing in here?
So I had to deal with it. But luckily I had the sword, and well, I swung at its ankles until it died.
Come on, you buffoon. You give me all that hide. Come on, this thing has got to die. There we go.
Give me some prime meat, but I don't really need it when I can find ovices for mutton. I then made myself a Saber-tooth saddle. I then headed over to the Highlands extension because I spotted a yellow drop with a ring.
Not denied. Holy saber saddle.
Yeah, that's a solid saber saddle. Honestly, perfect timing to get one straight after taming my saber pair. So, my first imprinted saber is going to have some fun. I continued exploring around this end of the Highlands extension because I actually haven't looked over here yet. It's a pretty nice little spot on this end. Doesn't spot anything useful to me. But I did end up running into another yellow drop with a ring. This one not so good. Not so good. But at least I can probably break down some of those metal stuff for resources, which is kind of nice. And then on my way back, I spotted a level 145 male bison, which is pretty solid.
And a 150. Oh my god, there's a mate pair of bison. There's a mate pair of bison.
I then returned back to base, placed down 2 large storage boxes to hold some of the resources that we collected, some to be broken down and some to keep. I then threw out my first saber baby that I had, gave it the bonkers saddle, and then got on a bit of a metal grind, as can't have too much metal. Started off day 9 with a very meh yellow ring drop, then made myself a platform cart and put it on the back of one of my horses. Then it was time to head on an adventure, as we had a goal to tame a Procoptodon, which means we had to head to the desert. And then we made our way out of the Highlands into the Redwoods, trying to dodge Microraptors, but didn't really work.
Whee! You little shits. Yeah, you fell in the water. Game on, bro. That's what happens when you fall in the water. I'm gonna kill you, you little shithead. Come here, boy. Come here. Come drown, mother trucker.
We continued on, making our way to the red obelisk, and wanted to see what we needed to face Nun attack on every difficulty. My goal is to face it on Alpha. I then spotted a 140 male dire bear. And dire bears is a good mammal. They're strong, they hit hard, bit of a glass cannon. And then this Diplo 40 could come for a ride.
Oh, get off the cart! No! He's on the freaking cart! Get off! Get off the cart! Get off the freaking cart! You absolute monkey!
I then spotted a max level Megaloceros, which is a mammal I need to tame. It is a male, so we bowled it. And I hit it on the way out. I hit it on the way out. You absolute muppet I am. Yep, 82.7% taming effectiveness. What a bummer. Definitely with one that had 32 points into health pre-tame. Oh, that sucks. So I left it. I had to leave it. I couldn't take that taming effectiveness. So we continued on and made our way across the bridge to one of the newer castles on the map. And oh, this is a beautiful, beautiful castle. But this led me into a bit of a dicey situation with a saber, some raptors, and a frickin' Kano. So we got on the run. I thought I got out of danger, but they kind of found me, so we got a bit of a panic mode here.
That's a max level. Oh, for God's sake, move. Climb up the hill. I'm struggling, Ricardo. Come on in. Come on, you silly Carter. Max level my butt. Max level my butt.
But we escaped. Luckily. And then I spotted a max level bison. So, that's cool. I'm not ready to tame bisons. As you can see, watching this herd just absolutely destroy everything in sight, flicking things around, they're not fun to knock out. And that herd had a 150 and a 135, which is absurd. And then I realized this yellow drop that I spotted, I can't get to at the moment with the horsey, so we got on our way, jumped into the ocean, took a little swim, and finally made it to the dunes of the desert, getting us closer to that Procoptodon. And well, the adventure continued on in day 10, where we finally made it out of the dunes in this beautiful red sky, where I spotted a 145 Jerboa, which is a mammal I needed to tame, so she got the boot. And it counted towards a milestone.
I had to tame a Jerboa too for the skill! I completely forgot about that! We just got 3 skill points. Because I'm stupid and I forgot.
And we maxed out the bonded taming skill, now giving us 30% imprint bonus on every tame we get. Named the Jerboa Grumpy Shoes after one of my legendary members, and then continued hunting for a Procoptodon. I then set up some forges on the back of my cart, mined some metal, and got that cooking. Then had a Pego steal my rare mushrooms, and I didn't notice at this point, because we ran into a Procoptodon shortly after, which they are tamed with rare mushrooms. It's a crappy level. I trapped it with some billboards, knocked it out, and then realized I had no rare mushrooms.
Where'd my rare mushrooms go? Somebody stole my rare mushrooms! No!
And they got ran up by a bunch of raptors who absolutely killed that Procoptodon.
Really? I can't do anything here.
I then set up a smithy on my cart, as I was going to need to make a Procoptodon saddle, which I forgot to make before I left. So this is going to take a bit of a while, but luckily I have everything I need on me. Well, almost. I then spotted another Procoptodon and watched a Serato walk towards it. So that was a no-go there. And then spotted another Procoptodon at level 90, which I would take. But first I had to deal with this level 20 Kano. The sword is OP. We trapped that level 90 Procoptodon within our magical billboard trap. Okay, then murdered the direwolf nearby and watched a Procoptodon, who was very bloody, hop past me.
Oh, you... Oh, no! I can't check the level!
And, well, it hopped past me again, and it happened to be a 140. Which is perfect level. So, I trapped the 140 as best as I can, and I kind of just left it there. As we still need rare mushrooms, so an adventure for them was about to begin. And, well, we're up into the mountains of the Scorched area on day 11, where we first spotted a low-level Thyla, which is a mammal I can tame. Then got in a fight with a direwolf, giving myself a bit more pelt for a saddle, spotted a low-level Procoptodon that I'm not going to tame, and then spotted a level 95 Thyla that ran at me, and I proceeded to boot it to sleep.
Game on!
While also hitting it on the way down, but I said, why not? We'll just tame it anyway. It's a female Thyla. It could have some uses in the future. So I got a campfire on my cart and started cooking up some raw mutton, as cooked lamb chops happens to be the second best thing for taming Thylas. I then got out my saber, killed a couple of Polymoscorpius hanging about, and tried to see if we could find any crystal nearby where the Thyla was. But I didn't see any until I spotted a cave in the side of a mountain, which I thought, that could be a good place to check. But first, I let the Thyla tame up. As it is, it was a level 95 female. It's alright. I also tamed the baby, as I did need to claim 3 baby creatures for one of my skill tree milestones. I then headed over to that cave, and it was filled with that sweet crystal. But the reason we were hiding the crystal was for the rare mushroom.
1 rare mushroom, 2 rare mushroom, 3 rare mushroom. That is 4, 5, come on, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, we got 2 then. Another one there. I don't even know, 13, 14, 15, 16, 15. I like this cave. This is a cool cave. Freaking resource heavy cave though. And it's got a water well in here. Hot damn! This is a PvE cave if I've ever seen one.
And of course, I gave it a marker on my map because that's a super resource cave. I then murdered a couple more direwolves for their pelt. And then proceeded to knock out the 140 Procoptodon. And it had some good stats. Base with 30 into health and into melee, so this could roll out quite nicely. And as you can see, we're a little bit shy on making my first Procop saddle. Just need a little bit more pelts, hide, and metal. So I decided to murder the level 90 Roo instead of knocking her out, so I could get the last bits of pelt and hide, so we could make our Procoptodon saddle all ready for when that 140 tames. Which it did. Which is amazing. To end off a pretty good day in my opinion. And well, Skippy's stats came out alright. We got 8 points into health, 10 into melee. Really could have been better on the girl, but that's alright. But now we need to get ourselves a male so we can have a mate pair going, because the Roo is going to be my best way to get around the map, as I've put myself on a bit of a cap where I can't tame a Dreadmare until level 50. And for anyone talking about the Griffin, it's part bird, but also part mammal, so I've kind of chucked it as the last creature I can tame. And well, on my hunt for the Roo, I spotted a 140 Thylacoleo, which would be kind of nice, but he has a friend, so I had to get on my high horses and run for my life. And then I spotted a max level 150 female Saber, and I just had to tame it. I had to knock this girl out and tame it, because chance to roll better stats on the Sabers could be quite nice for doing the caves early on. I did have to deal with a bunch of dirty ads around here, like this Alpha Pluro, before I could even put some meat in this girl.
They're dead. Okay. What we're looking like? Ooh. Hey, may as well give it a go.
She tamed up, and we got a better health stat, which was nice. Not a great health stat, but it increased by 3 points. It's kind of nice, so we might breed it in, but we'll see. I then spotted another roo finally, and it happened to be a male level 95. So I decided that's just gonna do. But first, I had to deal with this pack of raptors because I didn't really want them ruining my day like the first roo I knocked out. Quickly billboard trapped that roo up and, well, knocked it out with the crossbow. Nice and easy. I then somehow found the pego that stole my red mushrooms, and he still had it. So I got my red mushrooms back that I lost literally on day 11. So that was kind of nice. The roo finally was all tamed up, but then got a bit of a scuffle with a freaking pego. So that was just fantastic to watch him bully that thing. But we got Cornflake here. And that is my mate pair for now. I don't really care about the male being too low of a level, as we're just going to try and get a imprinted one with the base stats for the female to use to get around the map very quickly. It took us all of the morning of day 13 to get out of the Dooney areas of the deserts of Ragnarok until we made it back to the Redwoods, where I spotted a max level female Megaloceros, but I didn't tame it. And then I remembered something. This Doedicurus is actually a mammal. It's not a dinosaur, it's a mammal. So I booted out this level 50 because even though it's a low level, it's gonna help us harvest so much stone that it's gonna be amazing. I then ended up finishing a harvest stone milestone and made myself a Doedicurus saddle. And, well, the doe tamed, I was crafting a bunch of stone arrows to finish off another milestone, because why not? And then after crafting 25 thatch structures, I finished off another milestone, giving us 3 more skill points, which I put into speedy harvesting, which I think is actually quite a good trait. I then spotted that 140 dire bear, still in the same spot as we spotted him when we passed through before. So, I wanted to knock him out, but instead he got into a fight with a Macroraptor, and he murdered that, so I didn't have to deal with it. And then it was time to start booting him to absolute oblivion until he started running for his life. Couple more trank arrows in, and we got him down.
Oh, it's out. It is out.
I ended up dealing with this dirty Microraptor looking over me. Just didn't trust them. Devious little turds. And, well, this thing had 31 points into health, which I think is the only reason it stayed alive. Dire bears are really hard to knock out with a horse or with crossbows. I then used one of the taming cakes on it, which actually ended up just being a waste as it didn't tame it up, as I was hoping it would. Collected this green job, which had basically nothing in it, and then it tamed, giving us a 41 point health dire bear and 45 stam, which is pretty solid. I then spotted a 140 female, which would be perfect if she didn't die to the hands of the boot.
No!
But she did have some babies. So I just grabbed them and said, well, we'll just put them with the male and that will just have to do, as we need to get back to base. And, well, we continued on through the redwoods, getting Microraptored on day 14. This thing, absolute gremlin, man, absolute gremlin.
Come here, you vermin head ass. Ugh. Right next to a Troodon, that would have been absolute death. Okay, let's continue on.
I was hoping I would spot maybe another dire bear to try and tame, but no luck there. But then on my way back to base, I spotted 2 more Equises, a level 95 and a max level, which seemed like finally could be nice. Maybe I should tame it. But first I had to click this yellow drop, which didn't have anything too great for me. Turned back to base, got the Procoptodons out to get mating, then gave our Doed a harvesting cake and went to town harvesting a bunch of stone within our camp cave. Then I got our first baby Procoptodon, who had alright stats from the two. Then got out my Thylacoleos and got them mating, and also my dire bears. Got myself a brand new Equus called Timothy, then placed down a feeding trough so everyone was well fed. My baby Procoptodon finally grew up. I gave it one of those candies so it got maximum amount of speed, chucked the saddle on her, named her Raptorial, and away we went with absolute speed.
Dude! Oh, nah. Alright, alright, alright. Oh, God. Oh, we're moving. We're moving. Dude, look at me go! Ah! Super-roo! Alright, I'm gonna be aiming for health and melee. This is gonna be a movement roo. Health, melee, and weight.
And with the help of speedy harvesting, the amount of momentum I was getting was phenomenal. So we started heading on our way to go get that treasure map cache that we got a few days ago. Crossing past the volcanic area, into the snow, and eventually finding it wasn't actually too far into the murder snow. What it had though was, hey, alright, nice flak leggings, an assault rifle that no one ever uses in Ark because it's actually atrocious. But then on my way out I spotted a yellow drop in the distance, so I headed on my way over there. But we were too late to get to the drop, and instead spotted a Dreadmare. But I thought may as well try and kill it, see if I can get that altar early, even though I have to wait till day 50 to tame it. And well, our fight continued on until I fell off the cliff face, trying to jump shoot it with a crossbow. Very smart way of doing it, isn't it? Absolute genius level plays here. But eventually I got back up and actually got into a battle with it, missing so many shots, but hitting a few. I don't think trying to kill a Dreadmare with a crossbow is the way to go. And well, eventually it's
so hard to frickin' hit!
Disappeared into its portal dimension as it was finally morning here on day 15. But there was another reason we went this way, as I wanted to find my base location of choice. And well, this spot up here, up on this cliff, with this little tower thing that comes up to it, was what I had in mind. After booting this raptor off the side of the cliff, it was time to check out what is going to be my new base location, with hopefully a big tower up the top I had in mind, which I was going to use the template hammer to place down. I then set up a typical Veno Bob Shack template, hopefully to set up a just a starter box location, but it wasn't going to work on top of this like pre-built tower here, as it was going to block off the staircase, and I kind of wanted to have the staircase just in case it fall down, so I built one off the side of the cliff, so it didn't take up too much space, but it was alright. I then marked off this Carno, getting us one step closer to finishing off the milestone, so I went on a bit of a Carno hunt, and killed off another one, finishing the milestone, and giving us a new set of skill points, oddly enough, which I think this is when it first came out, so it was a bit buggy at this point. But I got to fill out that speedy harvesting and max out the amount of speed I can get. I then got back to work finishing off the Veno starter shack, or well, extended shack, but before I even finished it I got distracted by a yellow drop which had a beaver saddle in it, which the beaver is a tame I gotta get. But I was also close to where that Dreadmare may be, so I tried again to kill it with a crossbow. But this isn't easy. But this fight wasn't going to be an easy one, and it got very close to me dying to the point that I threw out my saber to hopefully distract this demonic horse of death. But yet again, the dawn rolled in, and well, the horse disappeared. Bit disappointed in that, but it was okay. As on my way back to base, I spotted a high level direwolf. By accident, actually, it spotted me. So I proceeded to boot this 150 out, fed it some mutton, and finished off the Veno Shack of Wonders, which will help me build my tower I also made down a water well here, so we got fresh water up in our little spot. The direwolf was tamed and happened to have a primitive treasure map on it. I don't know how that happened, but still 39 points into health, weight, and melee. Very interesting there. But that is another mammal checked off the taming list. I then kind of secured the area around a bit. Spotted a level 95 male wolf. Wasn't worth taming. Turned back to base and started putting stuffs like a campfire into it. I then got myself a bunch of metal mined and then headed into the snow to see if I can spot anything to tame, as I was waiting for this yellow drop to come down, which didn't have anything really useful for me, but hey, here's a 135 male Megaloceros, which I did need to tame, but we left it for the moment because it's a bit cold here in the snow. So I returned back to base to see what I needed for a bunch of fur gear, which of course we just need a lot of pelt. So we headed on down onto our Saber and left to see if we can find some stuff to get some pelt from. While looking for stuff for pelt, I spotted a high level mammoth, which one, I do need to tame one. It's going to be good for wood. We're going to need it for the base. Also a high level Deodon, which is good. We're going to need that for the boss battle hopefully. And then spotted a Valwyn, which is a new creature that I do need to tame, as it's an ice fox. They're pretty easy to tame at the moment. I don't know if this is going to be the taming method when we get to them coming out fully in Lost Colony, but all you need to do is literally claim one. It's a bit of a mess, but it takes a while. You just gotta catch it and press E, and it's tamed. The Valwyn did happen to be level 25, which is abysmal, but hey look, it's checked off the board and we have it tamed. And then I spotted a level 140 Megaloceros, which we bowled and booted out, which I had on the way down. Again, I gave it some berries to check how bad the actual taming effectiveness was, because I thought if it wasn't too bad, I was just going to tame it, but it happened to be 69%, which is too bad. That's way too bad. I'm not taming that. No, thank you. We'll just leave it there. We'll find a better one later. I then spotted a level 100 Valwyn, which I would like to tame, but a pack of direwolves ran up on me and I had to get out of dodge. I then noticed I had a Ascendant treasure map. I don't know where I got it from, but I have one. So we hopped up the base, made a bunch of fur gear from the stuff I killed, then headed down into the canyons to dig up this Ascendant treasure map. And those flak legs are amazing. The Carno saddle, on the other hand, I can't use it because it's not a mammal, but once I get a grinder, I can grind it up for a bunch of resources, so I'm going to keep it. Then I headed over to the Ice Queen cave to see if I can get in and out with a Roo, because this would be a good place to get a bunch of loot and gather up stuff to grind down, or get lucky to get saddles for any of our mammals. But we did get some bullets, which we could use with the AR we collected previously to do with Dreadmare, and some good flak gauntlets. Number 4 had another Saber saddle, which is kind of nice. And the 5th one had a Dode saddle and another Saber saddle. So, an alright first run of the Ice Cave. I come in here too many times. Too many times. And with one big jump, we were able to get back out the cave before I died to hypothermia. I ended up making a absolute beast of an Ascendant torch to hopefully keep myself alive for longer in the snow, and then headed back to where the Dreadmare was to see if I can use this assault rifle to kill it. But I ran out of bullets so quick and it didn't kill, and I was back to using the crossbow, which is honestly a pain in the ass. You need a shotgun to do this. This felt stupid, but then it got weak and started running, and well, it's gone.
What's it doing? No, don't you run from me! You buffoon! Oh, you... Ah, no!
That does suck that it disappeared, but on the early dawn of day 18, I spotted another Dreadmare in the distance, but didn't have enough time to spot it as it dipped into its pocket dimension. I then spotted a yellow drop with a ring that ended up happening to be in the mesh. And I hate that this still happens. This is pain. This could have some good loot, but I can't even get it. Stupid. Now, I did spot a Palovia, which I happened to be a max level, and I proceeded to knock it out. Not noticing it technically isn't a mammal, even though it's kind of like mammalian-like. It's a synapsid, which isn't a mammal. It's just like a proto-species. Yeah, I honestly, brain don't even want to function on this one, but I knocked it out. Okay, and well, people called me out for this when I did my little 10 episode version of this. So, but still, I tamed a max level Palovia. I then headed into the ice cave after it tamed, as I actually had a plan for it, and that was for it to be a creature that I leave within the cave to just store loot in until I have like a full stack and then pull it out. But I can't place any structures in this cave, as I learned, which kind of sucked. I did end up grabbing the drops, giving me some alright stuff in this yellow drop. Ended up leaving the Palovia there with some food, called it Loot Crate, because that's all it was going to be. Collected the rest of the drops in the cave, giving myself a ascended shotgun, which could help me take out that Dreadmare, but I need some shotgun shells first. So we left the cave to just get Palovia'd outside of it.
Oh, Palovia'd. Oh, you little dude, that knockback was ridiculous. Stop it. Oh. Oh, bloody hell. That freaking knockback the Palovia has is what the? Right on the cave entrance too. You little bum, stop it! Die! Die! Oh,
I returned to the base to only find out I can make 8 simple bullets, so I need to work on gunpowder. So I got straight to mining a bunch of flint, mined a bit of wood as well, so I can cook up some more metal, and then tamed myself a level 100 Velwyn, finally. So, nice. But I'd still need a female Velwyn to breed with it, to hopefully have a good companion, and ended off mining a bunch of metal to end off the day. Ended up getting a bunch of metal cooking on day 19, and then named my Velwyn as well, before heading into the ice cave again to get a bonkers saddle for my first drop. And then the next drop was garbage. And then the next one gave me another bonkers saddle. And when exiting out of the cave, I spotted a purple drop, which happened to also be a ringed purple drop that had a Calicotherium saddle, which yes is one we've got to tame in the future. I then spotted a 145 Mammoth, and because we got that bonkers saddle, I do want it, but it was fighting a 150 Deodon, which is absurd. I didn't know which one to pick, because I need both of them. So I kind of went in there with the horse and just booted as much as I could, hopefully to knock out both.
Oh, Deodon's on the run. Oh, dude, don't get stuck on the rock! The Deodon's on the run! Don't. Please don't be super Deodon. I want the Deodon, I want the Deodon.
The Deodon ended up taking most of the brunt at first, and eventually I got the boot on him, as in I killed him. I ended up protecting that mammoth we wanted to tame from this dirty RG trying to kill it.
Sack it, RG! Oh no, not the 145. Yeah, okay.
And then eventually knocked out the 145. He did have Vampiric 1, which is a good trait. But then I watched the Velwyn attack this mammoth trying to attack me, which also affected the 145 mammoth. And as you can see, the tame effectiveness has dropped considerably by a lot, and it's still going down. So that is a waste. I just lost out on a 150 Deodon and a 145 mammoth. So pain. Just pure pain. But I still chucked berries into that 145 I had knocked out, because one, that vampiric trait could come in handy, and it could help me start getting some wood. It's the main reason I wanted it, so I'll take it. I then went back to see what level that Dreadmare we didn't get to spot was, and it was a level 100. So my goal was to use my brand spanking new shotgun with a total of 12 bullets to try and kill it. But honestly, I just completely failed at this and wasted almost every single bullet.
Oh, what a waste. Ah, that's a waste. Alright. We know where it's at. Oh, for God's sake.
And so I just got on the run. I wasn't even going to try and crossbow it, I just ran. And well, we escaped the onslaught from the Dreadmare on day 19 as it disappeared into its pocket dimension. But that was a big flop. Waste of shotgun bullets. I then collected a shotgun BP from this ringed yellow drop. It's very expensive though. I don't think I'm even going to be able to make it. This other yellowed ring drop had some nice fur gear on it, so that was kind of nice. And then I kind of went to town with using the Valwyn and my Saber to take down this Bronto. And I grabbed its sauropod vertebrae, which is going to come in handy for the bosses. Or boss, sorry. But also for taming a Dreadmare. I also took out the Cerato, as I don't know if Cerato spine is something that they grab, but I grabbed it anyway. Also, TJ somehow got stuck on a rock. Then I was back in the ice cave where we got a monster saddle.
God damn Thylacoleo! Oh my lord!
We also got some monster flak boots and fur boots. So, solid little cave run there. And then I spotted a red ring drop when coming out, and a yellow ring drop. It's just ring drop day today for me. The yellow ring drop had a mammoth saddle, but a lot of metal stuff that I was going to be able to break down. The red drop, on the other hand, sweet veggie cake, which will come in handy for taming an Ovis, but the rest of it was kind of mediocre. I then took out this Rex and make sure to grab its tiny little arms, as I'm going to need it for the Dreadmare, just in case it calls for it. I then found an Ovis, which, of course, I tamed with that sweet veggie cake, locking that off the taming list. I then returned back to find my mammoth had been tamed. It's not the greatest mammoth, but it's gonna do work when it comes to harvesting all that wood and thatch. So, that's the main reason I'm using it. I'm not using mammoths in the boss battle at all, so he gonna be my wood girl. We started off the next day with a red drop that had some sweet veggie cake, which is always handy. Then I found another red drop that was stuck in the mesh. Wildcard, like please, this needs fixing. I've had enough of these drops falling through meshes. It's a pain in the ass. But after that disappointment, I was in the snow to hopefully deal with the illegal tame we have in the Loot Crate Pelovia. But I found out he is basically fallen through the mesh and is in the void. So I guess he got dealt with by the game. I then collected the drops that are in here, getting myself a pretty solid Diabear saddle from this one.
Oh, that's a massive Diabear saddle and a nice ascended third chest piece.
We then returned back to base to drop off all my loot that I got from the cave, then spotted a red drop with a ring down in the canyon, and was just straight to it. There was no way I was not getting this drop. Failed jumping up a couple of times because why not? And the drop had nothing for my mammals, but a compound bow at least is kinda nice. And since we got that sweet veggie cake, I used the speedy harvesting of our rue and bounced all the way to the Highlands as quickly as I can to find a couple of sheep to tame. I found this nice level 140 female, so that got locked in. Didn't find any others, but I returned back to the campsite. I started off the following day taming a low-level male sheep. It was pretty blue, but they got rid of those sweet veggie cakes. Then we started our journey back down to the desert area as I wanted some Thylas. But first I ran into this red drop, didn't have much for me. This purple ring drop that, yet again, wasn't that great. The ghillie's kind of nice.
I realized we need to get the embryo incubator. They'll come in.
And then we made our way through the deserty dunes, across the canyons, until I spotted an Equus. Now, I do need to tame 3 Equises for a skill point, so I went ahead and tamed it. Wasn't the greatest level, but it gets one off the board. I then spotted a Thyla finally, nice and red, and well...
Oh! Hallelujah. That's a 145 female and it's pretty and red.
There's a 145 Thyla, and I hit it on the way down.
No, I hit it on the way down. No, no, the direwolf. Oh no. I think I 100% hit that on the way. Bugger off, all of y'all.
And after dealing with absolute absurd amount of scorpions, I had to decide to leave it to wake up. I had to get a perfect level on this girl. This is going to be my best way to do the cave that I need to do, like the lava golem cave or the ice cream cave. The Thyla is my best bet. I then set up 2 campfires, cooking a bunch of mutton, as I'm going to need cooked lamb chop to tame these things, and went on a hunt for hopefully a high level male to tame while I'm waiting. Did spot an Africano, that's a bit scary. And well, we ended up spotting that 140 Thyla I spotted earlier. And this time I made sure I didn't boot it on the way down like I did with its female mate that I will tame later. While waiting for the male to tame up, I returned back to the female, started feeding her stem berries to speed up this torpidity drain, grabbed myself some cooked mutton from my fires, and fed that to the male. Well, we watched this other Thyla look at me like an absolute demon through the walls, ready to rip my face off.
I won't hurt you, I swear. Come on, come over here.
But eventually it somehow made it out of the wall, which was a bit scary. It was right when my 140 Thyla tamed up, so I had to deal with them, but luckily, Thyla helped me out. Yeah, that's a bonkers HP stat to have on a Thyla, so I'm glad I found this boy. And then we returned back to find that the female had finally woken up, and we attempt to knock it out again. But this time, instead of booting the final section out, I used trank arrows and didn't hit it on the way down, luckily. But instead, I had 2 Ceratos jump in and try and kill her.
No. Don't. No! Why? Why? No! You buffoons! Get out of here! Oh my god, I gotta let it wake up again. You absolute... Seriously? This girl's cursed!
Yet again, lowering that taming effectiveness. There was no way I'm taming this with 26.7% taming effectiveness. You must be stupid. So we went on a bit of a journey around. Ran into a uni by accident, so we love fair raw. Ended up spotting a desert loot crate, which was filled with absolute garbage. Then ran into probably my worst nightmare, a absolute gank of Microraptors.
Bro, get me out of here. Did you see how many Microraptors were there? Get me out.
Eventually, the Thyla woke up for the 3rd time, and this time, 3rd time's the charm. We got her down without any issues. And due to the fact that she's been knocked out like 3 times, she tamed up pretty quickly. Didn't roll well. She did not roll well with the stats. We have Dookie Melee, which is alright. It is what it is. So we started the journey back to base across the desert, spotting a Titanosaur. And then I decided to take a little pit stop over in this new Redwoods area of the map, where we spotted a 150 Bison, well, its baby, and then realized I ain't taming the actual adult because of the herd it has is absolutely absurd. I then found a crappy level 1 and started booting it to death and shooting with my shotgun until its friend popped along.
Hey, I don't know what level the other one is. I can't. Oh, what level's the other one?
Who happened to be a good level. A max level at that. So it was time to try and tame a bison for the first time and knock it out with a horse. Let's just say getting ripped off your horse kinda sucks.
Ow, oh god, get on. Dude, I forget that they can just like... Ah! It's absolutely bullying me! This is not the way to knock out a bison! This is not the way you knock out a bison! Heck no! But we're gonna do it anyway.
But eventually, the big boy bison max level was down and out for the count, with pretty mediocre stats pre-tame. And yes, I am berry / rock carrot taming this thing. It's all I got at the moment. I don't have kibble. And while waiting for it to tame, I absolutely dipped it on day 24 all the way to the rock carrot fields on the Highlands to get myself some more crops to hopefully finish off this tame with better effectiveness than the meteor berries.
There we go, big man Bison.
Yeah, stat-wise, this boy ain't the greatest, but that is my first bison tamed, so I'm kind of happy with that, as the bisons are going to be like my main creature that I use for the boss battle. Well, that's the goal, if finding a bison saddle BP isn't a pain in the ass. Maybe a little bit of foreshadowing there, how long it takes me to get one of them. Maybe. I then returned back to the camp, grabbing basically everything I wanted to take from here, whatever tames, whatever items or structures I had left here, I wanted to grab them all. And my goal was to use the Valwyn's ability to basically hold a bunch of stuff and teleport with you to get across. But my Valwyn decided he didn't want to come with me when I teleported. Well, fast traveled back to my base. So I had to fast travel back, and I found that he was under the mesh. But he eventually came out, which was nice. I got myself out of the cave, and well, in the early hours of day 25, the fast travel Valwyn trick to bring all my stuff over worked like a charm. I was a bit weighted, but we'll find. Next up, I was into the ice cave, mining a bunch of crystal, before looting the drops, getting a real nice fur gauntlets, a nice metal shield, and mining even more crystal. Because I wanted to have a Dino Depot terminal set up with a bunch of Dinosaurs ready for breeding, as we're going to start breeding up my Thylers that we just tamed to hopefully get a perfect stat Thyla with my best stats to imprint to make way through the Ice Queen cave. I then also made myself a fabricator for the first time, getting that placed in my little shack, before placing down this metal behemoth gateway and demolishing it for over 1,000 metal. And I love doing this. Like, whenever you get metal behemoth gateways or like elevated platforms, it's a good way just to get free metal by breaking everything up. And I had a couple more to break down, so I broke them down for even more mats. Getting us very close to being able to make a bio grinder, which all I needed was electronics. I destroyed this keypad to see if it gave me electronics, which it did. It was 12, not a lot, but it was something. I then hopped on my Roo and went on a bit of an adventure, stealing cementing paste from a bunch of beavers. And silica pearls, because that's what I really wanted, because I wanted to make more electronics for the bio grinder. I returned back to base, made myself a generator, and then crafted as much electronics as I could, which was 37, which I don't think was enough. I then placed down an elevator track, as these elevator platforms, if I just delete them, will give me some polymer, metal, and cementing paste, and it's just a good way to use them, as honestly, who actually uses elevator platforms that often? Not many. I don't think so. I started off the next day back in the snow, spotting a 145 Megaloceros, which we don't tame, as I saw this yellow drop ring, and the main reason I was up in the snow was to buy myself a bunch of oil so we can make some more gasoline. I then crafted myself the template hammer and placed down the template for my tower base, and I'm hoping this is going to look real sick when it's done. It's going to take a bit. I also placed down 2 storage boxes that I'm going to use to store all the pieces so I can do it all in one foul swoop. Then I was back in the Ice Queen cave, getting myself a really good crossbow. Look at that bad boy. Got myself a nice Hyenodon meat pack, which is a bit worth the tame. And then accidentally aggroed some of the super bears in here, making my companion get completely demolished, but the Roo held his own. And when coming out, I spotted a double red drop in the distance over by Murder Snow, so the loot goblin in me headed all my way over there to not make it in time. So that kind of stung, but it is what it is. And once I was back at base, I decided it was time to make myself a vault, as this was going to help me with all my storage issues I feel like I'm going to run into. And so I moved a bunch of stuff over there quickly. Then found I had a Thyla with some of the better stats. So I chucked him out, leveled him up a little bit, gave him my absolute beast of a 228 Thyla saddle, named the legend David, and then headed up into the snow to test its damage on this Deodon, doing absolute mega damage. But here's the biggest test, the Ice Queen Cave. But this time, we're not just looting the little piddly drops out around in the circle, we're going in deeper into the cave, into the ice worm trenches, where luckily on single player the actual little mini worms spawn, but I found playing on servers they do not spawn, and I don't know if it's fixed by now, but yeah, we had to deal with the worms to actually get all this good loot. Include some disgusting flak BP there for my some boots. Another good crossbow, not as good as the one I got. Harpoon's alright. And the rest of the drops were kind of bonkers. But the main reason I was down here was to slay the Ice Queen. And well, I completely forgot about the invisible barrier here that stops Tanes walking through to go face this girl. And so we kind of got into panic mode, but luckily I had the shotgun, which does extreme amount of damage to the Ice Worm Queen, and after a bucket load of shots, we had her slayed. Got a nice compound bow out of the first drop. The second drop gave me some nice flak BP boots. Third drop, not so good. And the fourth drop, yet again, pretty mediocre. But there was another reason we were down here, and that was to gain our first artifact of the run. The artifact of the pack. Only 9 more to go. Once back out of the cave, I got myself on a bit of a stone run, as we're going to need to start building this tower of power. And well, we started crafting some of the pieces we needed. Started with some stone foundations that, as I said, I was going to leave in this box until I could make the whole thing at once. I did spot a yellow drop of a ring, which honestly was just disappointing, and this red drop is also disappointing. So I continued on my grind of resources, harvesting a bunch of wood and thatch with our mammoth, and a bunch of stone with our Dodicris. Then crafted a bunch of stone large walls, and then got back to mining more stone. This is literally life of building. And we ended off the day making even more pieces. These are stone ceilings, so we're getting closer. I finally made myself a gene scanner after remembering I can make one, which will come in handy when hunting down more mammals. But I had a mission to harvest 1,000 rare mushrooms, so I took my mammoth down to the swamp and started whacking trees to slowly harvest 1,000 rare mushrooms while fighting off big boy crocs like it was nothing. Then eventually we did it. Harvest 1,000 rare mushrooms, and now we're gonna harvest 1,000 rare flowers, which is a lot easier in my opinion. But before we left the swamp, I wanted to head into the castle here, as it is known as the Cat Castle, and well, I want myself a putty cat. And then I spotted a 150 putty cat, but it didn't have the green symbol above its head, but it had the yellow one, which, I mean, it's like a 50-50 chance or something that you can tame it or not. Yeah, well. But this male 145, though, did have the green. So I was able to tame. Well, actually, no, because cooked fish meat does nothing to 4.5%. That's ridiculous. I changed the cook lamb chop, and that worked better, giving me close to 45%. That should only need a couple of feeds, but then I spooked the poor putty cat and he went on a bit of a run. Why running? But luckily, a couple more feeds later, we have got our brand new, beautiful blue and kind of like burgundy putty cat. I love the colors on this thing. And then I wanted to see if I can get a female so I could have unlimited, endless putty cats, but I couldn't find a female, and then got my face scratched up by this level 20. absolute wanker. So I ended up leaving the castle and heading on my way back towards base so we could head to the Ice Queen Cave. And well, we made it into the Ice Queen Cave, collected the drop quickly, and then got to work with our roux harvesting all the rare flowers. And well, this was a lot quicker than the rare mushrooms was yesterday. It was completed pretty quickly. And all I had left now on that milestone was to harvest 1,000 obsidian. So I kind of went on a bit of a hunt looking for obsidian because I really actually didn't know where to get it. My main plan was to go to the volcanic area, but instead I ran into a bunch of spiders and bugs which were just absolutely tormenting me. But eventually I found some obsidian and got to work. And there we have it. We have finished off our new milestone. Giving me some more skill points, which I didn't actually know where to put them straight away. So I kind of left them there to hopefully stack up with some more later on. Made my way back to the beaver dams, made sure to rob them of all their sweet paste. Hey, after that clip, I returned back to base to kind of just guess how much resources I needed for an indie grinder, which will come in handy grinding up all that loot we've been obtaining from the caves. Day 31, and well, we found a red drop ring, which had a nice shotgun BP, so that was kind of a good way to start my day. I then got on a massive stone grind and wood grind with our Dode Mammoth duo. Made even more structures for that tower. Like, we're making small walls and ramps. Doing even more even more wood runs. Making even more structures. And harvesting even more at the end of the day. It was all a harvesting making day. Right, continued our resource runs on day 32. Made a bunch of walls. And then spotted a drop with a ring in the distance, which didn't really have anything useful for me. But then I finally had everything made, so I quickly popcorned that all out, put it in my inventory, and then hit the hammer, and thought I could photo mode it being built, but that cancels the hammer time, which is a bit of a bummer, because I wanted the cinematical piece of it building, but now I'm just going to watch it from the ground and look at this thing build itself together.
32% done. Oh my god, this is taking forever.
And there it is, the tower is done. And I'm pretty happy with it. I did change this one little section here to put some ramps up instead of the little triangle foundations, just to make an easy way into the entrance. And well, look at this big old tower with my little room up the top hanging over the edge. And the top bit is to hold, hopefully, some Dreadmares and other stuff. But I'm actually pretty happy with this tower. Cool build. And well, we headed into the ice cave to celebrate building my tower, getting a nice flak BP here, a long neck BP there, a mammoth saddle BP, nice flak gauntlets here, good shotgun BP and Hyenodon BP pack, a nice crossbow BP here, and then we jump down to face the queen again. And we slayed the queen once again on day 33. Netted myself a Ascendant Rhino saddle BP, not gonna make it. Also a Dode BP and a pretty good Calicotherium saddle. Also a Racer saddle as well, so definitely get my Mammal saddles up. And yeah, I can't use that RG saddle, so alright drops to end off the cave. I then collected this yellow ring drop, which had a lot of metal structures, so more stuff to break down. I then went and digged up a treasure map that had absolutely nothing for me. And then it was time to hunt down another mammal, the Hyenodon. With the help of my handy gene scanner, I found one, but it was a wee baby, and the babies do not count towards taming them. I have to tame them their proper way. But I did tame this one just so, one, they can raise up in the ball, and we could at least have a meat pack just in case I don't tame one today. While our hunt continued, I found myself a Gigantopithecus of a good level, so change of plans. We're gonna tame this big monkey. Oh, well, I thought I was gonna tame the big monkey after it got into a fight with something else. I then found another Hyenodon that I started to pet. But then I screwed up the taming and it ran off. So I killed it and gave up on that. I actually hate Hyenodon taming. It's a pain in the ass. I then found another pack of Hyenodons, but sadly, no luck in taming one as they all dispersed into Narnia. And, well, I made it back to base and threw out that baby Hyenodon, which was now fully grown, chucked on a meat pack and started storing a bunch of meat on it, as it kind of acts like a mini fridge, which is kind of cool. I really never use Hyenodons in this fact, but could come in handy. I then went on an adventure to hopefully get some silica pearls, where instead I ran into a theory that just had to be dealt with.
Get out. Come on, Theory. I'm out of bullets. I'm out of bullets. Still gonna bully him. Still gonna bully him. Go. Go. Bully the Theory. Bully the Theory. Bully the Theory. Damn, that's... Oh my god, the Dilos are just not...
But the reboot knockback is actually insane. Like, this thing ain't doing nothing. After that, I quickly dipped into the lake here and collected myself a bunch of silica pearls around this ruined building. And then spotted a otter. A perfect, amazing little boy, my boy Fizzle. So I quickly dived into the ocean looking for a fish to feed it. And one fish does the job, and that is Fizzle on my team, which is awesome. And another mammal checked off the list. And while on my way back to base, I kind of overjumped, landing further down the canyon, just making it a little bit longer to get back to base. But we did find a 140 Phomia, which a couple tracks in it. It was out.
And out cold goes the 140 Phomia.
And once it was tamed, I called it Sir Poopalot and put him in a ball. I finally made it back to base, turned a bunch of those silica pearls into electronics, put a bed in the top of my tower, and threw out Fizzle, gave him some fish meat, threw out Grumpy Shoes, and gave it some berries, as they will hang out up here. And with all those electronics made, I was finally able to make the Bio Grinder. And with the Ragnarok update, you can grind up mammalian creatures or gestation creatures and get kibble now. So it was time to check that out. But first, I put down a cliff platform that we put the Bio Grinder on. Realized I couldn't power it from my generator from the range, so I had to move it again. But eventually we got into the spot where it was powered and started grinding up things like the Diabear, which gives you superior kibble. Ovis gave me no kibble. Saber-tooth gave me regular kibble, and Thyla gives you that sweet extraordinary kibble, and probably is now the best thing to get kibble from the grinder in my opinion. And so, since I know that fact, I got some Thylas out and made them breed so I could just grind out a bunch of Thylas for endless kibble. We already have 22 kibble already from 2 Thylas, which is pretty solid. I then made myself a long neck from this Journeyman long neck BP, finally giving myself a nice knockout weapon. And now I think it's time we start decking out the tower here on day 35 with a generator finally up here. And some lights, because it is too dark in this tower. Ah, that's better. That is so much better. I then made myself a bunch of trank darts. Added some bear barrels to the bottom of the tower, because, well, we still need bear. And then it was time to get on the hunt to tame some more mammals. Starting off with this Megaloceros that we knocked out very quickly with my crossbow.
And that was quick and easy.
And he tamed up pretty quickly. Ain't gonna have much use for him. Called him Raven and put him in a ball. I then headed down to the lakes of the beaver dams as I wanted a Castorides. And then I found this nice pretty red and blue one. So I quickly knocked him out with a bunch of arrows. Had a bit of a fairy scare as this fairy just quickly walks on top of my tame.
Really, Mr. Theory? Come on.
And after a fair bit of time, the Castorides tamed, called it Lola, and it's gonna stay in the ball for the rest of its life. I then made my way through the volcanical area of Ragnarok, getting whacked by a stinking dirty pyromane.
Owie. Bloody hell. Bloody hell. Ah! No, the mantis slowed me down.
And that fire damage is ridiculous, by the way. I made it all the way to the Highlands extension on the hunt for a bison. But the first pack of bison were all garbage, so I got out David the Thyla and learnt my lesson pretty quickly that the bisons will rip you off of it. Luckily, David did the work with the bleed and absolutely slayed all of them, but that is scary. I then found the 145 and the 150 bison that we spotted in the first 10 days, and started trying to knock one out. Yet again, getting ripped off the back of my mount, but luckily I was able to get back on and get on the run.
Shite.
But my luck of getting away from it didn't last too long, and well, the bison absolutely slayed me. With one little flick of the head, I cracked my ankles on the ground and died.
Holy crap.
Luckily, because I have a base spot nearby and an Equus at that campground, we got on the Equus and ran quickly back across to the Highlands extension to only find Toshi getting absolutely bullied by the herd of dinos. And I tried to boot the bisons to sleep, but instead found myself dead again.
What the absolute crap. Holy crap.
And this time I couldn't spawn back my bed, so that kind of sucks. So I spawned it on the beach, took a little swim across the river, and that poor Equus was murdered by the bisons. And so was Toshi. Luckily enough, I could get my stuff back, get myself back up. I then decided to get out David once again and try and see if I could just bleed out the bison by jumping around like an absolute maniac. But this led that 150 into a pack of raptors that absolutely destroyed it.
The raptors killed my 150. No. Oh, you wankers.
So no more 150 for me. It did have a baby with a nice like burgundy purple coat, so I claim that just to see what the base stats of the bison I could attain, which were alright, I guess. But luckily there was still that 145 there, so I worked on knocking this one out, and after a bit of basically duck bison, we knocked out that 145 male.
Oh, dude, yes, he's out. Okay.
With some kibble, it quickly tamed up.
There we go. We got the big boy bison.
And its stats were pretty mediocre. That weight stats kind of nice, but everything else sucks. I then spotted a 140 female within this herd, and
150 female. Oh, for Pete's sake, what am I supposed to do here?
using the mobility of the Roo and some train carriers, I kind of dodged around a bit, and eventually knocked out that 140 female, while also getting whipped off the back of my mount, which kind of sucked. But luckily, I quickly threw out David and got out of dodge.
Oh, I think we got the 140 out. Yes! And the 150's out too! Alright. Ooh, this one could roll. Some good frickin' melee.
Well, one of the bisons tamed up in the morning, giving me 41 points into health, which is so good. So good. The other one knocked out, giving me 38 points into melee damage. This was a 150 actually. I got a bit confused there with my filming. Oh well. And then it was time to make our journey all the way back to our tower, where I found a nice red drop with a ring up on the volcano that had a... This is a bonkers drop actually. A Fabby Sniper, Giga saddle, Rex saddle, Deodon saddle, elevated platforms is pretty solid, other than getting attacked at the end of picking it up, but hey, it'll do. Once back to base, I deleted the spare elevator tracks and all the elevator platforms to get a bunch of resources, as we want to get the industrial grinder, which will help me grind up a bunch of stuff. I grinded up a bunch more Thylas to increase my kibble count. Finally got the bisons down to start mating. Destroyed another elevator track and a bunch of metal structures in this kind of jungle gym of placements. Decided to grind up that baby bison we claimed to see what bison give me, and they give me superior kibble, which is kind of nice. And then mined up some oil and metal to end off a pretty solid day of adventuring. And then I realized on day 38 I should just put down an oil pump, as this is going to make getting oil so much more easier. I don't have to harvest as much, this will passively do it for me. Also got down a feeding trough finally at the base to make sure everyone keeps well fed. a industrial grill added to our tower to cook up some of that meat we have. Made myself some grappling hooks. Named my Hyenodon Panda Rave. I then headed off to the jungle cave, or lava golem cave if that's how you like to call it. Placed down a nice little bed outside just in case something happens. And then made our way in with our Thylacoleo. My main goal was to hopefully get some drops and get the artifact that was in this cave. Hence why I made the grapple hooks, which came in handy getting us over all the lava sections. I could only spot one cave drop at the beginning, and this one kinda sucked. So I continued on, made it to the room with the artifact, kill all the Titanoboa that were hugging it, and quickly grappled across to get myself the Hunter artifact. I then grappled over and sneaked through the crack in the wall to the lava elemental arena. Now, using my Thyla, this was probably my best way of beating this lava rock golem monstrosity. And, well, after a long period of time, it fell. And now we have a bunch of cave drops to loot here. First drop, nice Dinotherium saddle, which is nice because we want to use them in the boss fight. A bonkers racer saddle, so that's kind of nice. The next drop wasn't so good. The final drop wasn't any better. So that was a bummer. But the Dinotherium saddle was definitely a win, and getting our second artifact was nice as well. But on my way back out of the cave, I did spot another drop. But first I had to deal with a bunch of bats and snakes and stuff. And, well, this drop wasn't even anything good either, so, oh well. I was still trekking my way back out of the cave on day 39, where we collected this blue drop with a Mammoth centipede that I'm never going to use. Bit of a bummer. I then slayed a bunch of scorpions and spiders to make my way up to some Arthro spits. But eventually, I was out of the cave and in a safe spot. I then had to make the journey all the way back to base, through the forest, up into the snow where we spotted a 135 Falwyn that I quickly tamed. Looked like cotton candy to be honest, but hey, high level Falwyn, I'll take that. Then took a pit stop to my oil pump to collect some oil. Wasn't a lot, but more the merrier. Then collected this yellow ring drop with nothing much of worth to talk about. Collected another yellow drop with yet again more garbage. Then found an Alpha Raptor, and I just started pelting it with my compound bow, doing 1700 damage to the head. But it got me the kill, which was definitely some good XP. I then headed back into the Ice Queen cave, getting disappointed drop after disappointing drop. Nothing really useful, this metal hatchet might come in handy. The sword could do, then a really good Roo saddle, which is kind of nice, and a woolly rhino saddle. But the main reason I was in here was actually to harvest a bunch of crystal, so we got to work. The grind for the grinder kept going with destroying stuff until I set myself on a trip to the moon.
Oh no! Oh no! I've done it again! Oh crap, I'm gonna die of 4 damage, ain't I?
Nope.
I lived on my skin of my teeth.
After destroying some more foundations, we finally had enough metal to make the industrial grinder, which I probably placed on the bottom floor of my tower, and quickly got a bunch of loot that I have obtained so far and grinded it all down for a good solid amount of resources. Look at all of that goodies. I then added a smithy to the tower, a chemistry bench, and a couple of fridges, one for kibble and one for basically everything else. I then added some library storages to store a bunch of my blueprints in, then added a water tank at the bottom of the tower so I can get water easily up in the tower. Added some artifact pedestals to hold on to my first 2 artifacts at the top of the tower. It was back to the taming grind on day 41 where I spotted a 135 rhino. But instead of knocking it out, I got into a fight with a pack of wolves and sabers.
Really? Holy mo- You're gonna all die. Like, David ain't no one to mess with. Come on, then. Come on, buddy. Let's go. All gonna disappear. To the bite of my juicy Thyla. There we go, easy.
And then it was time to start tranking out, but TJ had other plans.
Oh no, no, TJ! No, don't attack it!
But eventually, the girl was down. And then I realized I didn't bring any kibble to tame it. So back to base we went, grabbed the kibble out of the kibble fridge, made myself some extra grappling hooks just in case, then fed the girl the kibble and waited for her to tame up. Once tamed, she was called Lindsay, and she had 39 across the board on health and melee, which is pretty good to start with on a woolly runner, but I'm not going to use it, so okay. I then checked my depot terminal and realized I had a female bison with the health and the melee and the weight, so we're getting closer to getting a base pair set up. Then I headed back over to the Ice Queen cave once again, getting a nice filer saddle. Not better than the one I have. Got a nice pair of flak leggings from this drop. Got a nice flak gloved BP and a solid Deodon saddle, which will come in handy for the boss battle. Got another Hyenodon meat pack. Took down the queen once again. Got an absolute ridiculous long neck rifle. Got an Ascendant pump action shotgun, which is nice. Not as much damage as my Ascendant shotgun, but that's a pump. Pumps are better. And then got another long neck from this drop, but not better than the one we got. I ended up updating Seraph's the Doge saddle to the nice Ascendant one, even though it's not really going to change anything. He just deserves a better one. I started off a Calicotherium hunt on day 42 just to spot one down off the cliff that was a low level that I didn't want to tame. Slayed myself a Rex because we're going to need the arms for hopefully a Dreadmare tame. And then headed back into the jungle cave, as I really want the Bison Saddle BP, and it's only the jungle and the Queen Cave that have them, so I'm going to be looting these a lot. The loot in this cave wasn't that great. Got even stupid shotgun from that drop. A good long neck BP from that one. Another Dinotherium saddle, which is nice. Some nice fur hat, a nice Ascendant fur hat. And then I left. I didn't bother facing the Lava Elemental again. I've done it once, and that was more than enough for me. I hate facing that thing. I then spotted a 150 Mammoth having a fight with a bunch of Deodons, but I didn't bother trying to tame it, as we don't need it. I was still on the hunt for that Calicotherium. And I didn't bother trying to tame it, as we don't need it. I was still on the hunt for that Calicotherium, until we found this red one that was a 135, having a little fight with Balovia, but eventually, I started the taming method, feeding him some beer. This drunk alcoholic loves the yeasty drink. But then I accidentally kind of failed the feeding here and got too close too early, causing the taming to be reset as this Deodon attacked the Calicotherium.
Absolute muppet! Alright, I hit him. Oh, stop reloading! Oh shit! No! 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 David! 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 Stop being a moron! Come! Absolutely! Come over here! Oi! Oi! Ah! What a waste of beer! Screw you, Deodon! Screw you! You buffoon! Oh man! This stupid Deodon had to go ruin my freaking tame. Ah, bro. So after that was averted, we got back into taming mode. And in the darkness of night, trying to get this final feed in, he spotted David and started attacking David. This was just an absolute shit show mess. And well, eventually, the Calicotherium was tamed. And Seamare, you were named after this Calicotherium with absolute average stats. Next up on the taming list was a Deodon, and well, I spotted this level 90 first, so I thought I may as well kill it, but it had a 145 as a body. So I had to play it a bit more safer here, so I didn't kill the 145 as well. So the shotgun got pulled out, and a couple blasts to the face, the 90 was dead. A couple tranks to the face to the 145, and it was sleeping. And for some reason, I killed the baby that was nearby, harvested its prime meat, gave the prime meat to the Deodon when I have kibble.
on me, which I put in after giving it the prime meat, so this it tamed up pretty quickly. Let's be honest, that normally happens. And I named it Shay. So, let's go. Had pretty good stats across the board, 40 HP. Could use better food, but hey, it's a start. I returned back to base and we finally had a perfect stat female bison added to my breeding list. And then I headed in to the carnivorous caverns, as there are 2 artifacts I need to obtain in here. And I gotta say, this cave had got a massive uplift in this update. So good. I killed a couple things, then climbed up this cliff wall thinking I was almost at the artifact area, but instead I just did a massive U-turn and ended back at the entrance like an absolute wally. But eventually I found the actual cliff I needed to climb up, but this time instead of climbing, I grappled my way all the way up to the top, obtaining the artifact of the cunning. Now there is one more in here, but I couldn't find it because I got lost. And eventually I came out in the swamp area, just by the castle. So I decided to head towards back to base and started work on the apprentice builder milestone by constructing a bunch of wooden signs as they count. And well, on day 43 I finished making those 100 wooden signs, and then I made 50 stone intakes to finish the stone structure sections. But now we need to make a bunch of adobe stuff, which requires clay, so I need to go get a bunch of sand and cactus sap for that. And well, I hopped on my roo to realize I had a bunch of cactus sap on the roo, but I had no sand, so I got Seraph into a ball and headed over to the desert area. And Seraph got to work smacking a bunch of sand rocks to get a bucket load of sand. I also harvested some more cactus sap since I didn't actually know how much I needed to make sure I can make all these structures. Clay is kind of expensive. And since I'm out in the desert way, I know Deodons could be out this way. So I scouted for another one, but found 2 low-level scums that I dealt with the root. And since I was dealing with heat stroke, I decided it was time to leave. I can't handle heat stroke, I hate it. So we headed back to base, got all that sand and cactus sap into my chemistry bench so we can make a bunch of clay. And for the adobe structures, I decided to go with adobe ladders, as they are the cheapest and it works, so sweet. And on day 45, the milestone was completed, and I got a level into that heavy-footed, which means I take reduced fall damage. It's a great skill in my opinion. I was back on the hunt for Deodons. The first 4 I spotted were all crap, but then eventually we did spot a 140 male, which is what I needed to get a mate pair. So 1 cheeky bowler and a couple of tranks to the dome. It was nighty night for that Deodon. It didn't take too long for him to tame up, and he had 39 points into food, which I think is an increase from our female, so that's nice. I then ended up spotting a 135 female with Vampiric, which is an amazing trait, so I knocked her out as well, destroyed everything around her just so I don't have to ruin its taming effectiveness. I then checked the 3 babies she had for their traits. 2 of them had the exact same trait, being carcass bearing, but 1 had mutable food, which I was going to grab, as trying to get a better food stat can help with the healing ability of the Deodon. So after the big mama tamed, I grabbed that baby with the food stat and extracted that trait from it. Our new mama Deodon had 42 points into melee, which kind of doesn't matter for the Deodon in the sense of reason I'm using it for, other than its healing ability, but oh well. I returned back to base and got my Deodons breeding, made myself a bunch of simple rifle ammo, as I needed to craft some ammo for a milestone, so it was a good way to get it done. Harvested a bunch of flint, so I could make a bunch more spark powder, which I could eventually turn into gunpowder, so I can make even more bullets. I then put down a toilet in my tower, put some meat in it, took a dump, and now we have a bunch of spoiled meat, which I turned into narcotics. I also learned that turning that simple rifle ammo into trank arrows works towards the ammo amount, so it's gonna take a while to get this, but we'll get there. And as I said, on day 46, we're back to the ice cave, scoring a monstrous 888 ascended flak helmet. But the loot wasn't coming out too nice. I still want that big boy bison saddle BP. But these drops weren't giving it to me. And of course I killed the queen again for the I don't know how manyth time. And her drops weren't that great either. This is probably the worst run I've ever had. And since we're on that bison saddle BP hunt or pre-made hunt, I was over to the lava elemental cave again. But yet these drops, same thing, man. Just did not have what we were hunting for. We were still in the cave collecting a couple more drops at the start of day 47. And then it was time to hunt down another mammal to tame, being the Gigantopithecus. I did end up spotting this nice yellow drop with a ring, which honestly is probably the most disgusting yellow drop I've ever seen in my life, with a Giga saddle, Mammoth saddle, and a shotgun, and riot shield, and riot. Like, this is a bonkers yellow drop. I didn't even know Giga saddles could be in yellow drops. Interesting. Not useful for me, but interesting. I then eventually found a Gigantopithecus, well, its baby first, and then I found the mama, who happened to be the one I tried to tame earlier. Still alive. I fed its the kibble and it was an instant tame. Had 40 points on its health stat, which was pretty nice. And I also want to pique your guys' interest. Do you want to see me do a Gigantopithecus beats every map kind of run? I feel like that would be a fun challenge to do. Like, at least on gamma difficulty. Got tranked out.
Oh, headshot, and we are out.
As I do need to tame one. It's not going to have any uses for the boss battle because it can't go in any boss battles, and I'm not making ammo while base, but I do want to tame every mammal. And while it was taming up, I spotted a 140 male Hyenodon, and I wanted to tame this thing. So I bolted it up and put a thatch box around it, hoping to just pit it through the walls. Making this out of thatch might be a problem. The racer ended up taming up, which was nice, and put straight into a ball. And then I realized the Hyenodon broke out of the box. Didn't notice it was the thatch issue. Made another thatch box around it. Only realized it got out of that box as well. So I gave up on the Hyenodon taming for the day. And then spotted a Karcher on the way back to base. And well, because I'm gonna need a Giga heart, maybe, for the Dreadmare, I decided it was time to fight a Karcher with a Thyla, which is honestly pretty easy to do. Just get a couple bites in there and let the bleed do all the damage for you.
Whoa! Wait. Come on, son, let's go. We got speed. We got the hops, bro.
And there we go. It was killed, and we have now got a Giga heart just in case we need it for a Dreadmare team. And then on day 48, we're on the hunt for the small monkey, the Mesopithecus. Thanks to the gene scanner, we were able to eventually find one after getting lost and falling down into the canyon, having to climb myself back up. I had found me monkey. Fed it some kibble, and there we go. Another mammal checked off. I also grabbed this baby, because why not? Can't leave it alone here. And then I was making my way back to base when I made a bit of a fatal mistake and jumped through a hole on the bridge.
Oh my god! No! No, that did not just happen! This is water, but... Oh my god, that was bound to happen at some point. I just fell straight through the hole. I just fell straight through the freaking hole.
Once back to base, I got more bison set up with the perfect stats so we could start hopefully mutating them. But I also noticed one of my bisons had mutable melee, so we're going to start using that to hopefully boost the melee of these bisons up as I breed them. I then grinded down the excess amount of bisons to get more kibble and just resources in total, like hide. And then it was back into the ice cave once again, trying to get myself a bison saddle, but instead I got pure disappointment. And so I thought it was time to hunt down a Megatherium, and there were none on the map. And so instead of hunting that down, I found that level 100 Dreadmare and tried to kill it. But as dawn rolled in, the Dreadmare escaped, So we're gonna try again later tonight. But while we wait for that, I headed over to the volcanic area to mine a bunch of trees for charcoal so I can make even more gunpowder. And then turn that gunpowder into simple bullets, and turn those simple bullets into shotgun shells so I can at least blast that Dreadmare to smithereens. I then set up a new Dino Depot terminal in the tower, and this was going to be just where my spare stuff hangs out. I finally got a mutation on the Bison being a melee one, so I named the baby Bison 1M and transferred the mutable melee trait from my base male into the new mutated one. Grinded up even more Thylas for even more kibble, and then placed down the barn blueprint as I needed somewhere to breed all my dinos, and I thought this would be a cool way to set it all up, and it sits on top of the cliff platform. And then it was time to try and take down the Dreadmare once again. Starting off with a Fabby Sniper, I weakened it enough that it started running for its life, and the chase began, climbing over the hills, and with one lucky shot I killed it, but I didn't see where it dropped down. And then I panicked. I could not find its dead body anywhere. I felt like I had lost the actual altar. I have done goofed. But luckily, with the help of Vanilla with Sprinkles, I was able to pull the altar without even having to find the Dreadmare, so I didn't miss out on it. And then after that, I headed back into the ice cave, trying to see if I can push my luck to get that Bison Saddle BP, and well, no, nothing, nada, not a single one. I was then down in the canyons trying to find some Spinos to kill, where I got jumped by some Microraptors and got into a bit of a dicey situation there, but we lived. But there were no Spinos. Not a single one. I wanted to get the Spinos tail just in case I needed it for this Dreadmare tame, but no Spinos at all. So I found the secluded spot that's away from base, put down that altar. Okay. And once that came along, it was time to try and tame this Dreadmare.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. We can do it, we can do it, we can do it. We can do it. Yes, we killed it. Oh my god, that did. Okay, it's gonna be multiple kills with this. Here we go, we got another one, we got another one. Oh god, where'd it go? Ow, I can't see, I can't see. Here we go, it's down again for the count. What do you want, what do you want? Hello, brain. Let's go. Oh. Oh god, that was a bad shot then. Oh, I can't see. Okay, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. Oh. That should be it. Yeah, baby! Woohoo! We got our Dreadmare! We have wings, baby! We have wings! The end of day 51. Ah, let's go.
Now with that tamed, I do find a male. I do want to get a mate pair of these going, but I'm not gonna purposely waste time hunting. It's gonna be just if I get lucky, I spot one, right? Fly around on this felt so good after spending the first 50 days just on foot. I ended up digging up some nice flak boots, and then was back into the jungle cave trying to get that bison center once again. I don't know how many times I end up going in the caves trying to loot drops and just getting disappointment after disappointment. This compound bow though is disgusting. And I ended off day 52 by adding some more pieces to the barn. And well, we got on our resource grind to the start of day 53, harvesting wood, stone, making structure pieces, adding them to the barn template, harvesting more stone, and more wood, adding more to the barn template, getting very close to having it done. I did finally get a second mutation on day 54 on the bisons, but it's a stand mutation, and that 247 color looks very toxic green. We're back in the ice cave once again, trying my luck to get the settle. I don't get it at all. Oh, this is bloody painful. And then I head over to the lava elemental cave and just absolutely brain dead moment here. Crap. Yeah. Well, there goes my monkey friend, by the way. Smock is dead. I think that's who I had on my shoulder. And, well, nice. Well done. So after respawn, I hopped on the Dreadmare. I returned to the base, grabbed myself a crossbow, a new Thyla, and made some grappling hooks to hopefully save my gear. And well, luckily, thanks to, yet again, Vanilla Sprinkles mod, the local pull function allowed me to get most of my stuff back. Not everything. So, that was a bit of a bummer. And since I'm in this cave, I grabbed the loot I could get before leaving. Nothing like a bison saddle there for me. Then I also got this yellow drop that had 2 bits of scuba and a basilow saddle. Maybe it's time to go basilow hunting soon enough. But my main goal was to finally find a Megatherium. So we went to the redwoods and yet again, no sign of Megatheriums anywhere at all. It looks like my world at the moment is Megatherium extinction. I even tried checking out the snow to see if we could spot a Megatherium, but no luck there at all, so... But then it was back to the resource grind, working more on the barn, getting as much pieces as I could get done, and then we got our second melee mutation. It was on a female, which kind of sucks, but I'm just going to try and breed it in. I'm not going to be too fussy. Normally I try and get them all on the males, but dude, I don't care for this kind of... We got 44 days until we got to beat the boss. Doesn't matter. And finally on day 57, we finished the roof of the barn. And so I decided to decorate it with some lights, just because it was a bit dark in here. Ah, that looks nice. And then I set up my Thylas, a Dino Depot terminal to pick up all the babies, bisons set up for breeding, added a nice feeding trough in here to make sure everyone is well fed. And then it was back into the ice cave of disappointments, trying to get that bison saddle, but I'm not getting one at all. But anything I get, I can break down, so that's alright. And of course, it's not a loot run without heading over to the lava golem cave for more disappointments. Dude, I really feel the rarity of this bison saddle here is stupid. It's only in 2 caves. And you've got a chance of not even getting a cave drop that could have it. It's stupid. I dug up another treasure map, which was kind of mediocre. And then I got a best stat baby Deodon, which was nice. We could hopefully use that in the boss battle. And then it was back in the carnivorous caverns, as I still needed to get one more artifact from this cave. And it wasn't too hard to find. It's the artifact of the immune. Probably one of the easiest places to get the artifact of the immune, honestly. And then it was time to get on the Basilosaurus hunt. And the first one we spotted was a level 90, which was kind of crap, as I want to use the Basilo to go get the artifact that is down in the Tuso Trench. And it's the only swimming mammal I have, so I got the Thyla out to kill it. Odd way to do it. The Basilo hunt continued on day 59, and, well, I found a level 20, so murdered that one, plus all the sharks that were here as well. Then also found some Megalania that I decided to kill because I don't need Megalania toxin for the boss fight, so may as well sack some off here while we're struggling to find a Basilo, because I only found one today. I then spotted a level 100 on day 60, yet again murdered it with the Thyla. Actually, great way to get rid of Basilos in my opinion. Found another one in the side of a wall, cool. It was level 25, so luckily it was Luckily it was a bad level because it would have sucked if it was a high level. Then I spotted a level 25 and of course murdered that one because I ain't wasting time on those low levels. And then I spotted a 95, which yet again got the Thyla bleed to death, but eventually would find something good.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. That's a max level Basilosaurus.
And, well, after dealing with all the ads around it, we started to feed the Basilo. One kibble got me to 90% on this 150, which is kind of nice. But then it got stuck in the rock mesh here. I don't know, the panic set in, bro. Like, honestly, this made me stress trying to see if I could tame this thing. through the rock mesh. I thought I was going to lose this max level Bassie that I found. Took me 2-3 days to find the bloody thing, but we were able to tame it and called it Moby and instantly put it in a ball to get it out of the rock cliff. And it got 52 points into melee, which is disgusting. 40 points into health, not bad. So chuck that 200 point saddle onto it, and I think we're ready to go and get our artifact. And well, to get that artifact, I had to fly all the way across the map, across the desert, across the snowy mountains, the redwoody area, until we got to the other side of the map. And we took a deep dive into Tuso territory, and when I mean Tusos, there is a stinking lot of them here. But luckily, Moby was just killing it. Absolutely killing it. Just killing everything. We're getting the tentacles, which we do need for that boss fight, so I was just going to grab as many as I can get. I think it's 25 we need. But after I killed a bunch of them, we were finally free to grab the artifact of the Devious and get out of this ocean. But there's also one thing that was on this island. The only spot on this map to tame an Onyx, a mammalian flying bat. And well, I just let David kill a bunch of them until there was one left, and that one was the one I was going to tame, which happened to be a 145. So once I bowled it, I completely boxed it in so I could easily passively tame this thing through the wall, as it's a passive tame, doesn't take kibble, only takes mutton or prime meat. And it took a while to feed it because it's passive tamed, but on day 62 we finally tamed an Onyx and called it Sharon, put it in a ball, and it's never coming out because Onyx suck. I also headed back to the cat castle, tamed myself a couple more cats as I'm going to need them for a special reason. So I got them breeding back at base, or I got a couple breeding back at base so I can have a couple extras. Back into the ice cave once again for more disappointments on loot that is not the Bison Saddle BP. But we did get something. Bison saddle has been obtained, but it's not a blueprint. But that's a saddle. Bison saddle. Yep, that's the first Bison saddle I have found. No blueprint, which kind of sucks, and because I don't get access to the Helicoprion because it's not a mammal, so I can't try and roll it for a BP, we're gonna have to keep hunting. And well, with one Bison saddle pre-made, kept hunting, trying to get that BP or even get even more pre-made saddles, maybe somehow get like 18 pre-made saddles for these cave shops, but yeah, this lava elemental cave gave me nothing this time. I then started kind of compiling all the stuff I needed for the boss fight. It's looking pretty good. We're getting closer to the apex shops. I then also made a bunch of water jars to turn them into bear jars, as it was time to go on a hunt for some Dinotheriums. But as I went out on my hunt, typical gene scanner saying no Dinotheriums, and I checked the normal spots that they can be found, and I couldn't find a single one. Like, I even went over to where I tamed the Onyx, which I know Dinotheriums can spawn here, but couldn't see anything. So I started checking the Bison, seeing if I get any good traits that would be nice to claim for my final boss, Battler. And then we kept hunting around the map, trying to find a Dinotherium to tame, but there was just nothing. And while flying on day 65, I ended up spotting a Dreadmare portal just by the corner of my eye. So I marked it off just in case it might be a Dread Stallion for us to tame, to check out. But eventually we did find some Dinotheriums, but both their levels absolutely sucked. I then spotted a third one that was level 90, so of course I killed it. But then, very close by, there was another one that was a 150 male, so it was time to try and tame myself an elephant. Now normally you gotta sit here and play this game and figure out its animations to feed it. First attempt, failed, got myself stunned. Second attempt, he got pissed off at me. So after that attempt, I gave up and went over to see what that dread was, because it was dark time, because it was nighttime, and it happened to be a 145 Dread Stallion. So I had to try and kill this thing. Hidden flying targets! Oh, I'm so dead. But we failed, and he disappeared back into his little Shadow Realm void location, so We're going to try again later on, but then I noticed there was more Dinotheriums spawned near where the Dreadmare was, but they were both pretty crap levels, so I went back to that 150 and tried to tame it again. But we failed not once, but twice before. Third time's the charm on taming ourselves a Dinotherium, getting us a max level. And that house stat at 47 points is beautiful. Now all I need is a high melee female, and then the Dinotheriums are going to do some work in that boss battle. And well, I headed over to one of the new places near the swamp and found a 145 female. This one I got on the first attempt, which was amazing. So that was pretty easy. But her melee stat was 36, which is the exact same as the male. But I'm not going to try and tame another one. I'm just going to take it. These are going to be for their buffs, for the attack buff and the defense buff that they give in the boss battle. I didn't really know where I was going to put them though at base, because they're so stinking big. They're not going to fit in the barn, so I put them on top of like the tower thing and got them to start breeding to hopefully get some perfect stat Dinotheriums. And then it was time to try and claim that 145 Dreadmare altar. This time I started off with a long neck shot doing 1700 damage to its dome. Couple shotgun blasts into it, and we killed it, giving us a giving us the altar. No, giving us that 145 altar. This could be massive. And well, we're back into the ice cave on day 67, trying to get, hopefully, a Bison saddle BP. Got a Dinotherium saddle, which is nice. I think this means we got 2 in the 90 area now. But then I decided to try a strat. With single player, you can load out a single player and load back in, and it will reset the drops. So I kind of am going to abuse this, because, honestly, getting this Bison saddle BP, or trying to get one, sucks so much ass. Even though I was doing this, we didn't really have much luck. I only did it once today, but hey, there might be another day where I do it a couple more times. I then headed down to the canyon once again, looking for a Spino, trying to get that Spino sale before we did the 145 Dread Stallion altar, but yet again no spawns, so it was time to give this a go. First one wanted was an Alpha Raptor Claw, so that was piss easy. Here we go. Second one was Theory Claws, which we had, so that was easy. Go again. Third one was Thylacoleo, so that was yet again easy. Just kill it, shoot it, done. But then I wanted a Fire Talon, and I haven't even taken on a Wyvern yet. And well, there was no way I was flying all the way over to the Wyvern Trench trying to get a Talon as quickly as possible and get back with 5 minutes, so I kind of just had to wait for it to spawn in this Fire Wyvern and fight it at the same time as fight the Dreadmare, and that fire damage was rough, but we killed the Wyvern and the Dreadmare, luckily allowing me to increase the taming. But we had to wait for the next night before we could face it. So to make sure I didn't have to need another Talon, I headed to the Wyvern Trench, killed myself a Fire Wyvern that nearly killed me, got me a Talon there, took out a Poison Wyvern with ease with the Dreadmare, so that's the Poison Talon, and did the exact same thing with a Lightning Wyvern to get a Lightning Wyvern Talon, so I didn't have to worry about those. I then found a Spino and killed it for its sail, so luckily we won't have to worry about that. And then I wanted to see if I could find a Yudi in the snow, but I couldn't find a single one. But instead I found a Megatherium finally. It was a bad level, but it means I can knock it off the mammal taming list, so I tranked it out, gave it some prime meat, and then headed back to the altar to just find out it needed a Yudi lung. So, because I was near the snow, I went on a blimmin' bomb into the snow, finding myself a Yudi, blasting it with shotgun bullets, grabbing that Yudi lung. I then returned back to the altar in the early hours of day 69, fed it the Yudi lungs, couple shotgun blasts, we killed the Dread Stallion and claimed it as our own, now having a mate pair of the Dreadmares. And stat-wise, 40 points an hour, 43 melee, 40 stam, Not bad, the weight could be better, but I'm not taming another one. So, and because I want to breed them, I got them mating. I then picked up the Megatherium, and then headed back into the lava cave, trying to get that bison saddle BP we've been hunting for I don't know however long, but yet again, this cave gave me no luck. I then returned back to base to find that we had a baby Dread Stallion, but he didn't have the health stat that we wanted, which was a bit of a bummer. Day 70, we're back in the ice cave, and somehow we got an Ascendant Dinotherium saddle with 22.9 armor and a 58.33 item rating. Absolute disgusting saddle that is useless to me, because that is only 2 points better than a primitive saddle, but it's still Ascendant, so that's whack. But we continued looting drops, and I was doing the reset trick here, trying to get, as I said, either a bunch of pre-made bison saddles or a bison saddle BP, but in the end we had no luck. And well, I returned back to base to find that we're pretty close to getting my Dinotheriums to the right stat point I wanted. And we got a female Dreadmare with the house stat, so could be potential to get some more breeding, trying to get that perfect stat Dreadmare. And well, on day 47 I placed down my first Hydract. I'm going to need a lot of these for when we hopefully get that Bison Saddle BP. I then spotted a red drop with a ring, so I'm going to head for that. But first I set up a Dread Stallion that didn't have the perfect health, but did have the melee and the weight and the stam. And I just pumped up that health to 20k and pumped that melee as high as I could. And it does some damage, so it's going to come in handy for what I want to use this for. That red ring drop had some nice shotguns in it, not going to be used. Also spotted another red drop that was pretty meh. And then we headed all the way over to the Wyvern Cove, because there's an artifact I need to get in here. I managed to get to where the artifact is, but did get jumped by a couple of aberrant Megalanias, but they were pretty easy to deal with. And there is the artifact of the strong obtained. Only 4 more to go. 4 more? I think it's 4 more to go that are all in that life labyrinth. Now, I made myself some extinguisher grenades, as I did say I was going to tame Pyromane. It was time that we got it done. And well, I want some high levels, as they're going to come in handy for the life labyrinth. First one I spotted was 25, so I had to kill it. Second one, another 55, killed that one. Then another 55, so I killed him. And then eventually we spotted a 145 male. Using this little pool of water, I managed to shotgun him and ride on him. But my Dread Stallion was in attack mode, whacked it with a nice wind blow flare, whatever the frick it's called, and that drained the health of the Pyromane, killing it before I even got to tame it. And I got Mega Rabies from the Megalania, so that absolutely sucks. So we had to continue hunting for some more Pyromanes, even though I hate taming these things, and I think they're stupidly overpowered and need a massive nerf even more. And, well, the disappointing levels kept rolling in, but eventually I spotted a 140, and this time I managed to hit it with the extinguisher grenade, hop onto it, and, well, beat up a bunch of creatures until I was able to tame it. And I called him Burnt Poo, because that's what he is, a burnt poo. And because I tamed it on a dung beetle to get the final bit of XP, so hey, it will do. It's got nice melee damage, pretty bonkers health though. And now we just need to go find ourselves a female. But instead I find a 150 male, and that kind of stings because I would have loved that to be a female, but I ain't taming it. I ain't taming another male. I'm only taming a mate pair, and that is it. But shortly after we did find a max level female, so it didn't really matter, did it? She was pretty easy to tame, other than there was a rock elemental right next to it, but it did allow me to get a lot of, like, the bar filled up to tame it, so that was nice. She had a better melee stat, which was kind of nice, so let's go. As I was returning back to base, of course, I had to spot a red ring drop, and it went straight through the mesh. Seriously, wildcard, like, can we fix this? Like, honestly, can we? Please? Please? I then got the Pyromanes out back at base and got them mating, so we can hopefully get a perfect one to use for the Life Labyrinth cave, as I'm actually scared of that cave. That cave is terrifying. I started off day 73 by making some coffins, as I'm going to use them as my respawn point at the stinking Life Labyrinth. I ended up naming my new Pyro main that we bred up Nala, put it on the shoulder, and started our fly all the way down to the desert to where the entrance of the Life Labyrinth cave is. Placed down my 2 coffins so I have a respawn point. It was time to tackle the hardest cave on this map. First up was spelling Dracar, going up and down until we spelt it so we can jump down this little hidden door into some water. Then we have a choice of going either side, left or right. After crawling on the ground like a scared maniac, because if I go too high, I get burnt like a crisp. But we went the right side first. Failed parkour straight away, so that was absolutely phenomenal. Then well on our way through this little jumping puzzle area, I had to deal with the capros in here because I was not about to get capro jumped. Collected the loot crate here, which had nothing really useful for me. Took my way through the left side of this room where you can get this loot crate. You're just gonna be really careful. Just kind of creep up to it and then grab it. It didn't have anything I wanted. Got to the next room, pressed all the buttons, opened the door. I left the drop there. That drop is just dicey to get to. And then we make it to the maze area, which honestly, this bit sucks to do. And I failed it multiple times. Like, first time I got lost. Absolutely lost and just couldn't figure my way out of this cave. Or out of this maze, sorry. I couldn't figure my way out of the maze. Luckily, I had Nala deal with some of these bats because I don't want mega rabies. Tried it a second time, but yet again was just too slow through the cave. So I tried a different strat on day 74 by having Nala ready to run on to speed up, but yet again I failed. It was too slow. So I tried one other way where we kind of go backwards, and when you come through you kind of leave the door open. You be quick to get that first bit open, and then you run backwards, and it gives you so much more time, to the fact that I made it through without even the door shutting by the time I went through. It was perfect. And there we have it, our first artifact of this cave, the artifact of the clever. Then I have to sacrifice a tame in this pit of death. So this is why we had extra cats. Plus they got 9 lives, so they should be fine. Had to deal with some more Onyx in here, but luckily that's why we brought Nala. And then it was time to face the Spirit, Wolf, and Bear mini bosses in here, which it's pretty easy. They just kind of keep respawning and getting stronger every time until you eventually kill them, and then you can obtain 2 more artifacts here, being the artifact of the Devious and artifact of the Massive. Also collected a yellow cave drop up here, which is kind of nice. And then we just had to make our way out by jumping up this broken staircase and coming out of a cave with mushrooms. Now I ain't gonna do the other side just yet, because I need scuba for that, and I didn't bring scuba with me, so it was time to head back to base. Once back at base, the artifacts were put into my boss box, and then we were off to the swamp to get mushrooms, as there happens to be a glowing light pet that happens to be a mammal, and I forgot about it until today. So once we had the mushrooms, we headed over to the ruins of all the names. My name happens to be here, which is pretty awesome. But there was no Hyenodon, so I reset my world and came back in to find a 145 Hyenodon that we fed 2 aquatic mushrooms, and now we have the goat. And I'm pretty sure I'm pretty close to finishing off Taming all the Mammals. I'm not too sure. I followed that up by back in the ice cave trying to get that bison saddle BP.
Oh, another bison saddle. Let's go.
Yep, that's another pre-made saddle. It's not the greatest pre-made saddle in the world. Oh wait, we go back to back.
Oh, another bison saddle. Holy crap, that's a disgusting pre-made.
The BP luck wasn't on my side, but those are 2 pretty solid bison saddles. That 190 is disgusting, meaning I only need 15 more to go if I use all the 3 that I have so far. But then on day 76, it finally happened.
Come on, give me something.
Oh, hot damn! Bison Saddle BP! We got it! Ah! That is the BP I've been after. It's not the cheapest in the world, so the grind for these resources to make them is going to be rough. But I'm just so happy that's all done. I killed the queen, of course, grabbed all the loot there, didn't really give a crap anymore. I am done looting caves for the stinking bison saddle. It took me 76 days to get a BP. I started grinding up all the excess loot that I have obtained, trying to make up for that absurd amount of resources I need. The cementing paste was going to be a bit of trouble. And then I started work setting up my storage system using the visual storage mod. I set up a little bit of a drop box by the grinder and one outside. I then tried to calculate how much I needed for making the saddles I wanted, and I needed like 98,000 fiber. I needed 179,000 hide, about 32,000 metal ingots, and roughly 49,000 paste, which is ridiculous. That is an absurd amount of paste. Paste is going to be a bit of a trouble. So I set up even more hide racks. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, I set up even more hide racks to hopefully cover all that hide stuff. Started setting up my little storage floor with bins for fiber, stone, thatch, wood, a bunch of cementing paste buckets, and some ingot pallets to hold everything I hopefully need to make all the saddles so I could face this boss on day 100. And well, on day 77 I finally grinded up basically everything I'd collected and used a bunch of the resources to make an industrial forge, as we're going to need to harvest metal, so I need a way to cook it. That also meant going on a bit of a metal run by kind of using the black hole thing of Hades, my Dread Stallion, and a bison that I pumped a bunch of weight in. I just went to town with my pickaxe mining metal. I wish I could use an Anki, but it ain't a mammal. Also, any drops I saw around, like this yellow one, I decided to go grab and just hopefully get some stuff that's worth grinding down for resources. I collected a bunch more metal and then returned to base to make a chainsaw, which should help me with the hide game. I then dug out some treasure maps, hopefully to get some decent loot to grind down. Didn't really get much worth my time. And well, on day 78, I got to put that chainsaw to test on this Diplodocus. It gave me a decent amount of hide, I guess. And then I returned to Blue Orb to double check what I needed for Alpha non-attack, as we needed to start grinding up these apex drops. And once back at base, I got to double check what I actually needed, and as you can see, I still need one more tentacle. I should have grabbed more than 24. Need more of everything, basically. So this was going to be a grind. And well, since I did need a lot of fiber, I decided to put my monkey to work and picked up some bushes. Then wanted to see if I could maybe chainsaw one of my adult bisons. But completely just done goofed that by unclaiming it and then caused a bit of a ruckus. Absolute stupid, honestly. Did chainsaw it down, it gave me a right amount of hide. And then I remembered, we have a bio grinder which can give me hide. So I grabbed a bunch of those excess bisons and started grinding them up for as much hide as I possibly could, giving us a solid 7.5k hide from, I don't know how many bisons I grinded up. It was at least 35. And then on day 79, I remembered I have sheep! And sheep, when harvest them, give you a lot of hide, so I got my mate pair of sheep going, and hopefully we'll start chainsawing sheep for a bunch of hide. I then grinded up even more bisons and some dinotheriums that I wasn't going to need, giving me a nearly solid 10k more hide, so we're getting closer to that god-awful 100 and something odd thousand I needed. I then got on a bit of a beaver dam raiding session as well. They have paste, and I need lots of paste. I then got on a bit of a stone grind run so I could turn some keratin/chitin and stone into paste using my chemistry bench, as this is probably the best way I can get it, is either the beaver dams or farming keratin and chitin and stone and making paste. Ugh. I also demolished a couple of elevator platforms to get a little bit more extra paste, metal, and some poly, which we don't actually need for the bison saddles. So the grind is on, with us taking out a couple RGs, getting our RG talons done.
That locks in.
Then going on a great Spino hunt, also killing some Diplodocuses on the way, as I needed a bucket load of sails. So day 80 was the murder, the great murder of Spino Valley. He'll talk about this for centuries, when all Spinos went extinct because one crazy man and his flying demon horse murked them all. And yes, we got every single sail we needed today, which felt pretty good. And so I dropped them all off at base on day 81, and then we were back on the hunt. This time to get that last Megalodon tooth and Tuso tentacle. The Megalodon was pretty easy to find, and this Tuso was in the side of the wall. But luckily, when I killed it, I still got the tentacles, so didn't have to worry about it. And then I killed a couple of Brontos to get myself some more sauropod vertebrae before starting the desecration of the swamp of Sarcos, as I needed a crap ton of Sarco skins, also Deinosuchus because they also give it as well. And while I'm here, I may as well try and kill snakes to get venom, because they don't always drop venom. So I was in here going to town on every Sarco, Deinosuchus, and Titanoboa I could spot, until my chainsaw broke, because one, I do need all that hide and it would be nice to keep that going, so I had to return back to base, repair the chainsaw, and dropped off everything I had collected so far, leaving us with 10 more Sarco skins and 7 more Titanoboa venom to get. I returned back to the swamp, killing more Sarcos, eventually getting to the point that we had every single Sarco skin I needed. There we go, 10 Sarco skins completed, and then I killed a couple more boas and finished off the amount I needed there, dropping them off at base, feeling pretty happy with myself. Up next was the Megalania toxins, and luckily they're not like the boas, where the boas have a chance of dropping their venom. The Megalania drop it every single time, so this was actually a piece of cake. After that, it was time to get on that sauropod hunt, killing Brontos and Diplodocuses. Also stole a bit of paste from the beavers as I was close by, because we don't have enough yet. The hunt continued for the sauropod vertebrae on day 83, but eventually we slayed enough big Brontos and Diplos to get all the vertebrae I needed. And we are done with the vertebrae, finally. And then it was time to start the hunt on the Thylacoleos, as I think I needed like 20 of them. And the great Thylahook-claw hunt continued through into day 84, with us murdering more Thylas until we had 24 claws. Okay, once we returned back to base, I realized I had every Apex drop done. All we had left was one artifact. But before I did that, I decided to chainsaw up a couple of sheep, as I do need hide for them bison saddles. And I went until the chainsaw broke. For a change of pace on day 85, I was on the hunt for some more traits to make the ultimate bison to ride into battle. But I then spotted a 140 griffin, and well, it is part mammal, so I'm going to tame myself one to complete the tame every single mammalian creature in Ark. And while this one was perfect, as it was kind of just stuck here, so I just tranked it out, and I was pretty happy with that. I then had to return to base to get some extraordinary kibble, and then I returned to find the griffin stuck in the mesh, and then a bison came along and killed the griffin I knocked out.
Are you kidding?
So I found another one and knocked him out instead. Got a pretty nice shot on him, and then spotted a giant furry traded bison right next to it, so I lured that away by tranking it out, and ended up taming up a griffin and that bison taking that trait, which is going to be perfect for facing the boss. And back at base, I found that I now have 1 health mutation and 2 melee mutations on my bison line. And as I said, we had one last artifact to claim, and so on day 86 we delved back into the Life's Labyrinth, this time getting a bit scorched on the room to pick which side we take. Luckily I lived. But we were on the left side, which did require some scuba, as we had to swim through like this sunken part of the maze. I didn't know they put Rexes in this place, man. Oh, luckily I had Gnarly on the shotgun, so that wasn't too scary to deal with. Had to swim through another section of the cave, grab this red drop, stuff to break up, and then it was time for basically the death maze. If I fall down here, I die, and it is time coded. The first section we got through pretty easily though. Second section, I failed my first attempt. Oh, too slow! So I tried it again, and this time made it through. By the skin of my teeth. Okay. Oh, I hate this part so much. Oh, my pain. My heart is... Dude, my heart is racing. The third zone, I kind of learnt the tactic of just skipping major sections and timing my jumps perfectly to make it through. Oh, we made it. Oh, sweet heavens. Oh. And there it was, the artifact of the Skylord, the last artifact we needed to face the boss. And well, on my exit of the cave, I got mega rabies from these stinking dirty bats. Disgraceful mammals, I swear. And well, after that we made it out of the cave and don't have to return here ever again. Once back at base, the artifact was put in a boss box that was all ready to go for game day on day 100. Then I grinded up a bunch of bisons for more hide and headed into the ice cave to get a bunch of loot to grind down. It was just grind time now, guys. Honestly, day 88 we're picking fiber, collecting stone, and making paste. That's all I kinda aimed to do today. Day 89 was a bit of a metal day, and grinding down a bunch of armor pieces and everything that I wasn't going to use for the boss fight, and grinding down bisons for more hide. Day 90 started off a red drop, hoping to get something good to grind down, but we didn't. And then back in the ice cave once again, collecting any loot I could get to grind down for mats. And grinding even more bisons. I probably murder over 100 this way. Kinda grim, ain't it? We're on our final 10 days in the grind for the bison saddle, continued with us robbing beaver dams, harvesting a bunch of stone and turning it into paste in our chem bench. Day 92, we're in the cave, killing the ice worms for their hide and keratin, collecting all the loot that I could get that was worth grinding down to grind as much of their resources to hopefully be able to make those saddles before day 100. Then on day 93, I remembered about my bio grinder, and so I got the excess amount of bisons I had and started grinding them up. Also returned back to the beaver dams and robbed them of their sweet paste, before grabbing a spare Dread Stallion and pumping every single level into weight, as this boy was going to be my new resource runner as I mined a bucket load of metal. And on day 94, we're back in the ice cave again. I'm just trying to get wishful to get some really good loot that's just gonna grind down for quick resources, and of course I grind it down anyway, it's getting me closer. I then just spent the rest of the day change running sheep. I'm actually just over this grind. I'm just gonna be honest, this grind kinda sucks. Alright, these next couple of grind days we're gonna go fast. Day 95 was a quick metal run and stone run type of day. Day 96 was robbing beavers, looting the ice cave, and grinding down a bunch of spare bisons and ovises for hide. Day 97 was hopefully the last time I run through the ice cave. And I also got an ascended chainsaw in there, which is kind of funny. But I would have liked that many moons ago, but oh well. And we ended up robbing some more beavers of their paste. Day 98, I was robbing even more beavers, doing a massive stone run, and started setting up all my bisons by leveling them up in a bit of health, bit of melee, and naming them after my legendary members. Thank you once again for your amazing support. I appreciate every single one of you. The whole boss army was set up, leveled up, not saddled up yet, but basically all ready to go for that moment on day 98. It's day 99 and it's time to make these saddles. I drank a skill potion and started making them to hopefully get a bunch of good ones. I set up the rest of the bisons that didn't have saddles, then made it over to Blue Orb, setting up a Dino Depot terminal to hold all the tames I wanted for the boss fight, and all the apex drops and artifacts I needed, because I couldn't carry them all, so I had to do some back and forth trips today. I ended off the day by making some shotgun shells and metal arrows all ready for the final fight. And here it was, day 100 had been achieved. Everyone is ready to face the boss, lined up. Let's get this going.
Oh my god, me! Move, 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 move. Oh my god, the ice worms! Why are they not attacking? Attack! There we go, now they're attacking. I'm just gonna do this for the ground. Come on. Come on, you big dingus. Oh, the damage numbers from the hordes. Oh god, hey, the worms are on me. Oh no. Here we go, big boy Arcampus. Boom. Ah, dude, I missed out. I missed out on the big hit. Missed out on the big hit. Let's go. Let's get this big hit on him. Boom. Oh, big hit. Big hit. Oh yeah, right. Let's get the big hit. Let's get another big hit. Come on, come on, come on. Go, 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 go. Big hit. We're doing some damage. Boom! 1700 damage. Whoa! Big damage. Oh, I love it. Everyone's getting damage in. Another one. Boom! Oh, the ice worm got the weight. Alright. He's back in the air. Get as much shotgun pellets as I can. Alright, let's help out these guys over here. Big. Boom! Ah, I missed it. It's alright, big boy got the head in. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Oh, this is not good, this is not good, not good, not good, not good, not good, not good. All on it! All on it, baby! Alright, let's get some big charge attacks in. Boom! 1900. Oh, we're almost half health. Let's go. Get that big charge in. Another big charge in. I kind of stuffed up the movement there. Big boom. Oh, yeah. Boom. Oh, 2k damage. Oh, big boy damage. Big boy damage. Oh, oh no. He's getting lifted up. He's getting lifted up. He's up, he's off. Alright, keep all the shotgun damage. Alright, big horn, boom. Okay, we're doing good, we're doing good, we're doing good, we're doing good here, guys. We are doing good. Boom! Big damage. Boom! Oh, that wasn't that much. Alright, let's just get the horns going. Oh, our Dinotherium are looking a bit weak. Big damage, we haven't lost anyone yet. I think we got this, I think we got this, I think we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. Come on, go, 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 go. I want to get a big horn attack in. I want to get a big boy. Oh no, oh god. Oh god, oh, ah, ah, not the time to get stuck.
Keep peppering with a shotgun. Barely used any of my cross compound bow ammo yet. The shotgun's just did so well. It's so much damage in. Oh, she's there's X down. Ah, didn't get the big hit. Didn't get the big hit. Come on. Go big deal. Go big deal. We just lost our first bison. No! Oh, CJ. I think CJ had the really crappy saddle though. Like the 75 armor saddle that I had. Because there was no way I was gonna make all the saddles I needed. Alright, we're just gonna try and get big damage in on this thing. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, okay, just slam it, just slam. All force in, all force in. Alright, let's get another big hit in. Oh, we did it! Oh, damn, I wanted to hit with the big hit, but we did it! Oh, Alpha non-attack has been slayed, and we lost only one bison. We lost CJ. Oh, there it is. Mammal only 100 days on Ragnarok. Finally finished. And there's my spoils. Oh. Bisons plus some Dinotheriums. Dude, let's look at these HP stats, bro. How's everyone looking HP wise? Oh, ye Lola. 4k XP. Bro, I got treasure maps from the freaking ice wyverns. Ice worms, sorry. There's some treasure maps in there. Oh, Hazen had 7k. Oh my god, everyone was quite weak. You had 28k, so you were chilling. Yeah, 60. Okay, some of them took a bit more of a brunt attack. Good old Puppet Master here. Somehow still... Like, look at all this food you have. Come on. Persevering my ass. Well, that is it. We're gonna go put our trophy on our tower and call it there. There we go. Look at that. Head of Alpha Lunatic. Let's declare our win.
Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next video.